Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ariel Helwani Show!
Back in your life on this Tuesday, October 29th, 2024. Hello again, everyone. I sure hope you're doing well. It is great to be here on a not so lovely Tuesday afternoon in New York City. You know how I know this? You know how I know this, Frank? Do you have any idea how I know? Look at it. It's a little gray. Look, you can even see that. Look at that. Look at the difference. See that? See the cloud?
We don't care.
There he is. Darren. We don't care. Ew. We don't care. Ew. That was incredible. There was another great line from that interview yesterday, right?
Everyone stop chatting shit.
Much love to Darren Till. Much love to everyone who watched yesterday's show. Appreciate all the comments and feedback, especially as it pertains to the deep dive with regards to the latest between Francis Ngannou and Dana White. Thanks for all the nice messages for my daughter's birthday. We had a lovely time with the Oreo cake. Yeah, it was a little minty. Yeah, it was a little toothpastey. But we forged on. We fought through it. And in fact, one of the gifts she got, I would like you all to know, is a Tamagotchi. Does anyone know what a Tamagotchi is?
Absolutely.
In the 90s, Tamagotchis were all the rage, right?
Absolutely.
And so she has been introduced to one. She loves it. She got a little watch thingy here, and it's like a living, breathing thing. And so as I'm driving from school to the studio, all of a sudden the thing is asking for food. It starts to cry, and it's saying, "Claire's, I want to eat." And I'm like, I don't
set her name out.
Yeah, because you put in your name. I don't know how to feed this thing. So now I'm afraid in my car that it's starving to death. I'm afraid that I'm going to be blamed for this. Because
I need to understand something.
Yes.
Is this a modern, do they have new Tamagotchis?
Tamagotchis are back.
And it's a
Okay.
watch?
Yeah, there's
I
a
was wondering
million.
if it was vintage.
No,
I didn't
no.
realize that. Okay.
Can it die?
I think so.
All right,
they
so
can
we
die.
can come back. That thing is dying in your car right now.
Oh, yo, the thing was crying. It was like,
Oh, yeah.
Claire's.
Oh,
No.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
It says out loud, Claire's.
Yes. Oh, no.
That's a
It's a little like text bubble.
Oh,
okay.
Claire's gonna be pissed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Killed
I was like, yo,
Tamagotchi on day one.
this is too much pressure. I actually Googled when I got here, like what happens. I think it will be okay, but I just didn't want to screw it up.
Just get covered in poop. There would be lots of poops on the screen.
Gross.
Right.
And then you just clear it away and
Like,
feed them, and it was fine.
The day that my family went to go see Titanic, I couldn't find my nano pet, and they're like, "Come on, we gotta go." When we came back, covered in
What's a
poop.
nano pet?
It was the Americanized Tamagotchi.
Here's the question. If it dies, does it come back like a video
Yeah, you
game?
can
We're
restart.
gonna have
Okay.
to ask the doctor later on.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. You know what,
true.
Frank? That's a great point. We can ask the doc in a couple of minutes. So I'm a little stressed, as you can all imagine. I don't want the blood of the Tamagotchi on my hands. Hopefully in about 4 or 5 hours, I'll find out that all is well. Very excited about today's show. We've got some legends on the program. Back into the show, we will be talking to the reigning, defending UFC flyweight champion, the man who returns to action on December 7th against Kai Asakura in a somewhat historic flyweight title fight. It's very rare that a debutant makes his UFC debut and fights for the belt in said debut. It's happening on December 7th, and it's happening against Alexandre Pantoja. He'll join us at 2:30. At 2 o'clock, we'll be joined by the man who weighed in for the title fight this past Saturday, Diego Lopes. He weighed in on Friday. He was there sitting right next to Alexander Volkanovski, and that was quite the scene when they went from Volk to Diego. Diego posting on social media afterwards, "The eyes never lie." And so we'll see what he has to say about all of that. He'll join us at 2. And one of our favorites, Chito Vera, who, of course, gave us that great moment way back in the early days of the return. You remember that one? Remember that one, Frank?
I do. You have to wait a second.
Oh.
What the fuck is going on, bro?
Yes, Chito Vera, the man. Fashion aficionado, man of many different looks, facial hair, haircuts, beards, all that stuff. He is the freaking man, and he will join us at 10:30. But, 10:30 Pacific, 1:30 Eastern. One of my favorite follows on social media these days is our first guest. He may not be a household name if you're an MMA fan, but this past weekend he did a phenomenal breakdown of what happened to Robert Whittaker's jaw, which of course led to him tapping, and he's going to have surgery and all that stuff. But really, there's like a love-hate relationship that I have with our first guest, because I typically frantically refresh his page, his Twitter page, his YouTube page when something bad happens to one of my players. For example, when Julius Randle fell on his shoulder and never played a game again for the New York Knicks, I was constantly updating his feed because I wanted to know what the deal is. He does a phenomenal job. He has, I believe, over 800,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I think he does it better than anyone right now in the social media YouTube space. He's an actual real doctor who focuses on sports-related injuries and happens to be a big combat sports fan. And so he knows a lot about this stuff. And I think he's a phenomenal follow and very insightful. I sometimes parrot the things that I hear in his videos and pretend like I actually know what I'm talking about. So after the litany of injuries that we saw at UFC 308 this past weekend in Abu Dhabi, I wanted to have Brian Sutterer on, MD, to join us and help make sense of it all. And wouldn't you know it, we happen to fit in right in the middle of his lunch break. So let's not take up any more of his time. Let us say hello to the doc, who is kind enough to join us right now. There he is from the famous location. This is it. It's a real thing. Hello, Brian. How are you?
Yeah. Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you so much. That super kind introduction. I've loved watching your show over the years. So this is an absolute treat to be able to be here and be able to just hopefully share some education with you all directly.
Yeah, and you do a phenomenal job. Honestly, you really do. Your whole setup is great. In fact, we were talking with the boys before the show. I'm just curious, and I've kind of hinted at this on Twitter, like, can you just tell me about your process? Because you go on your channel like an hour after an injury happens, like Shohei Ohtani injures his shoulder. An hour later, you've got the video, you're wearing the tie, you've got the shirt, you got the whole setup, your hair is fantastic. What is your process? Are you just on the couch scrolling Twitter and you see something, you say, okay, let me fire it up? Is this your home? What could you tell us? Can we peek behind the curtain just a little bit?
So I'm at home right now, and I keep everything set up with my studio so that I'm ready to go. And it's a bit of a love-hate thing, because part of why my channel grew so quick was because I was so fast getting these videos out there. But I mean, I'm a diehard sports fan at heart, and so I'm watching all these big events. I'm on the couch watching Red Zone on Sundays. I'm following all the big UFC fights, and so I'm watching all these events and kind of following anyways. I will say, if you ask my wife, there are plenty of times, though. I think for the Shohei video, I was actually in bed and shouldn't have been on my phone, but was scrolling Twitter, saw the injury happen and thought, hey, let's get up, let's go make a video and let's get this out there. And I love it because people, I think, really love to learn. And the intersection of teaching and sports is just a great combination to be able to teach folks some interesting stuff that you might not otherwise get while watching sports on the couch.
Okay, so much respect to you for that grind and for that dedication. And so part of the reason why I wanted to have you on this particular episode was because we just saw a few gruesome injuries on Saturday, and the most notable one, of course, Robert Whittaker. And I thought your breakdown was phenomenal because if I'm being honest, when I saw the photo that Daniel Cormier posted after the fight, I wasn't really quite sure what I was looking at. Like, I saw 3 teeth there, but I was like, where are they just loose? What's happening there? So of course by now, and we're showing the photo right here, it's kind of hard to tell. But then when you watch your breakdown of it all, it's even worse. And so we know what happened. The neck crank, he taps very quickly, and we find out that there's a whole mess going on inside. Could you tell us exactly what happened based on what you saw?
Yeah, for sure. And actually, we'll see if this works through here. I've got the anatomy models. We're ready to go.
This is incredible. So, you're hired, by the way. Can you come work for Uncrowned?
Yeah.
Is that a possibility? Thank you.
So, if you look what we're showing here on the anatomy model here, so that lower jawbone's the mandible. And it's interesting because Whittaker was very clear to say his jaw was fine, which I think is a little bit of a misconception. We think of the typical jaw fractures, right? Like there's a big crack through the bone here on the outside or something. But you've got to remember the teeth are anchored into the bone. The teeth are anchored down into the jawbone. And so what we were seeing in that picture that was just absolutely terrible. I mean, if I'm covering an event and an athlete opens up their mouth and I see that, I'm going to get a little bit queasy. Basically, this lower portion of the bone where those teeth are anchored into the bone broke. And so that's why you see those 3 teeth all still attached together, but they're pushed back into his mouth. So technically, it's not a true jaw fracture like we would typically think about in combat sports, but you still have a break in that lower portion of the jaw, which is why the teeth all stay together as it moves backwards. And so thankfully, if the rest of the jaw is okay, what they likely ended up doing was just pushing that base of the teeth back forward, probably put some wires or like fake, braces across the bottom of the teeth to get it all to heal back in a good position. But yeah, that's that's one of those, it's funny seeing docs covering UFC and they got their fancy suits and their fancy watches. That's one of those I'd be a little bit hesitant to just reach into his mouth and be fishing around with his teeth for sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so initially to a not very smart person like myself, I just think everything broke. But the way you describe it is almost even worse. And what's interesting is a video has emerged in the last 24 hours of Robert talking about an old jaw injury that he suffered as a kid. And I don't know if you've seen this video, but I want to play it for you here very quickly and ask you if it's possible that old injury kind of creep back up and that's why this happened to him, if that makes sense. Here's Robert talking before the Khamzat fight about something that he had to deal with as a kid.
Yeah, fun story. So when I was 19, I broke my jaw and shattered all my teeth, and they had to put a metal plate there. So the skin kind of, if you had a plate anywhere, it bulges. So I kind of had like a bulge on my jaw here, and it looked funny. So I grew the goatee out to hide it. Never shaved it off.
Does that injury have anything to do with what happened on Saturday?
Yeah, it definitely could. Looking back at this, right, the plate he's probably talking about with where his goatee is, there was probably some plate going across this lower front portion of his jaw. But when a fracture heals, ideally that bone heals back nice and strong to where it looks like it acts like original bone. But sometimes you get just almost like scar tissue, like fibrous scar tissue that forms across that joint. And instead of it healing nice and strong like bone, it can be a weak spot depending on how it heals. So hopefully, presumably he still has that plate in there. And I can't imagine anything would have broken or been damaged with that plate. So this is probably nearby and somewhat adjacent, but he definitely could have had some weaker tissue in that part of the bone that predisposed him to getting it broke even more, like we saw whenever Khamzat cranked on his chin like that.
The level of strength that a man must possess to do that to another human being, that's absurd strength, right?
Unbelievable. Yeah. Just unbelievable strength. I mean, and just the immediate pain, right? I mean, that's going to be so painful combined with just you're halfway through that fight like he is, you're exhausted. And now suddenly this guy is cranking and pushing so hard that it breaks your lower teeth. It's just unbelievable toughness too.
The process, the surgery to correct that, how long is something like that?
I'm not sure exactly offhand how long it's going to be, but I'd imagine if they don't have to go in and do anything with that original plate that was in there, probably nothing major. They might not even have to do an incision or open them up. Sometimes you can just put the tooth, that kind of bone component back in place. And then instead of putting an internal plate, so internal fixation, you can do an external fixation, or you just put like metal, like a brace essentially across the front of the teeth to help anchor it into the other teeth. Like when we see a basketball or football player buddy tape their fingers, where you take advantage of the normal strength of the finger next to it to brace and support a dislocated finger. You can do a similar thing with these teeth injuries where you take advantage of the teeth in the back of the mouth that are still intact and still nice and secured and kind of use those as a support while the ones that got pushed backwards are allowed to heal. So nothing that should be, like career threatening or keep him out for a significant amount of time. Based on how long these guys take anyways between fights, I would not expect it to necessarily have a huge delay in him coming back.
Wow, really? So it's not like a year or anything like that?
No, I would not think so.
Wow. I said yesterday, if I did something that forced my teeth to do that, I would probably say I don't want anything to do with it ever again. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I
thing.
could never.
Right?
I'd get punched in the nose once. Yeah, I'd get punched in the nose once in an octagon like that, and I'd have to call it quits. It blows my mind every week. Just, I cover a lot of sports in my job. I'm working and covering a lot of sports on the sidelines, and just the insane level of toughness and grit that these fighters have is just, it's unbelievable to see on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, and he's posting a picture afterwards saying like, I'm all good. I'll be back soon. Don't worry about me with a
Crazy.
2 thumbs up. It's unbelievable. Will he have to get his jaw wired shut?
Probably not, since there wasn't any other damage to like the rest of the jaw itself. As long as they can get it anchored back into the rest of those teeth, I doubt he'll have to have his jaw wired shut, but you never know once you actually get in there and do the scans of how much other damage you might see that we can't just see from the outside.
When you're watching these fights as a fan, can you tell, like Rafael dos Anjos, when something happens to him and he goes down, could you tell right away? This may be a crazy question because obviously you're not looking inside, but like, can you tell right away, oh, that's that?
Yeah, sometimes you can. And with RDA, I don't think we've heard, maybe you're aware if we've heard any official report on what exactly his knee injury was. The thing watching his that I'd be worried about, honestly, is an ACL tear. And I think there's a combination of, we've seen Jameson Williams, Alabama wide receiver a number of years ago, Von Miller, right? Your Buffalo Bills, whenever Von Miller had his ACL tear, there's times when something like an ACL tear occurs. Tom Aspinall, a great example in UFC, where you can see the motion. So our bodies are designed to withstand certain forces, and injuries happen when your joint gets put in a position that injures that tissue. And so if you can pay enough attention to the patterns of the positions that injure the tissue, you can learn about which types of positions are going to cause which injuries. And so that's how I've been able to kind of, predict some of this stuff. And with something like an ACL in fighters, we usually see it when they're backpedaling. They put their leg out behind them to kind of plant and then push off. It's what happened with Tom Aspinall when he was kind of stumbling backwards, put his leg behind him to plant, push off. With an ACL, what you can sometimes actually see is the tibia, the shin bone, will shift forward whenever the ACL has been torn. And then whenever the weight comes off the leg, you'll see the shin pop backwards. And so if you pay attention and go back and watch Tom Aspinall's injury, you'll see a moment where that flat front part of his shin pushes forward. That's telling you the ACL is torn. And then when his weight comes off, pop, you see it pop back into place. And so seeing something like that is a very clear sign that the ACL has been torn. We didn't clearly see that with RDA in his fight, but the position, the mechanism, these non-contact injuries, I would be concerned about a possible ACL tear in his case.
I'm 42 years old, so I'm a product of the 80s, 90s sports team where I knew every single player on every single NBA team, and I remember vividly when Dominique Wilkins tore his ACL, everyone was essentially mourning his career being over. I remember the ACL injury being the death knell. Why in 2024 can a Tom Aspinall suffer an injury like that and come back a year later even better?
Yeah, I think it's multifactorial. I think it all starts, number one, with athletes going into surgeries. I think are just more preconditioned. They do better job at the pre-rehabilitation to get into an optimal position before surgery. Everybody's so much more in tune with nutrition, with just general health, that it puts them in a better position to have good healing going forward. The surgeries themselves are much less invasive. Back in the 80s with Dominique, they were making big, long incisions, opening you up completely. And now we've got arthroscopic surgery where you can go in with just a little camera and fix everything inside the knee without this big, long incision. That reduced incision is going to improve that initial healing time. We've developed new techniques to repair ACLs, reconstruct ACLs. Historically, it was a lot of cadaver grafts where you would go into the cadaver lab and you take a piece of tendon from a cadaver and use that to reconstruct the tendon or the ligament in the case of an ACL. But now we have new techniques. We've got new grafts. We're doing a lot of patellar tendon grafts that are used for reconstruction. So improvement in surgical techniques. And then on the back end, our physical therapy colleagues are doing a much more fantastic job of just the rehab afterwards. We understand more why the injury occurred in the first place, how to rehab and train the muscles to have better control to hopefully not have it happen again. And so I think it's just the whole field in general. We've got better surgical techniques, better rehab, and we just understand these more after having done them for so many years.
On the prelims of UFC 308, there was a fight involving a gentleman named Miktabek Oralbai, and his face was absolutely gruesome. In fact, the whole fight was gruesome. One of those fights where it was so bloody, you weren't sure whose blood was on who. It was just like a bloodbath. And afterwards, you saw his face and his eye was so freaking swollen. I thought for sure, and we're looking at some of the photos right now, you see his eye there. I thought for sure that's a broken orbital. And afterwards, Dana White says, no, it was just swollen. How is that possible? What happens to the face that makes it look like that and not broken?
Yeah, when it looks like that and it's not broken, it's basically just it's blood. It's what we call a hematoma that's accumulated underneath the skin. So if you remember Joanna Jędrzejczyk, when she had her fight against Zhang Wei Li, right? Big, huge, massive hematoma, swelling on the front of the forehead. That's blood. Basically, the little capillaries, the thin blood vessels underneath the skin tear and rupture whenever you have that force, that punch, and then blood just accumulates in that space. So whether it's the front of the forehead, whether it's around the eye, the reason it has that kind of bluish red hue to it is because that's all blood underneath the skin that's accumulating and causing all that swelling. And it really is just, bad luck or good luck in his case that you don't have an orbital fracture underneath of it, because the same trauma is going to cause both. It's just a matter of exactly hitting in the right certain spot with the right amount of force to cause a break or not cause a break.
Zhang Weili, Mark Hominick, and way back in the day, Hasim Rahman was the first time I ever saw a hematoma on someone's head in a fight. And I always wondered, and in the case, this is Rahman, I mean, that's just like an absolute iconic photo, if we want to call it that. I always wondered, if you punch it hard enough, could it explode? Is that possible?
Yeah. I mean, if you punch it hard enough that you tear the skin, you'd have to cut through the surface of the skin. Then absolutely, it could, theoretically explode, right? It's probably not going to burst because there's not a lot of pressure behind it, but it could absolutely, tear in the sense that all that blood could leak out. But it's funny because I'm going to shock everybody here when I pull up this anatomy model again, because we're going to look at the skull. And, whenever someone's getting punched, our orbit is designed, the eye is designed to specifically protect the eyeball. The eyeball is the important real estate back there. And so it's designed to be, the eyeball's recessed, behind the round part of the brain or the skull, so that if a punch does come in, your skull is taking the brunt of the blow and not the eyeball. And so in a sense, it's good that the skull is there, right? As much as we don't want to have these skull fractures, because without that shape of the orbital bones going all the way around the eyeball, a punch is going to come in and just clearly hit the front of the eye. And so this is all designed to where you've got all these points of impact to take the blow so that fighters don't end up, with completely damaged and lost vision.
When I'm asking these questions, by the way, are you thinking like, boy, that was a stupid question, like the thing can't explode? It's not
No,
like
not
a
at all.
pimple or something?
No, not at all. They're great questions. I think, it's fun to just have different questions for people, because everybody has different curiosities. It's one of the fun part of my channels is that, everybody's curious about this different stuff. And it's always neat to hear different questions, because it also gives me ideas of things to talk about in future videos that, I might not think of people wondering as they're watching this fight, but then, oh, it's a good question. I can factor that into a future video.
We were talking about Jaws a couple weeks ago in Saudi Arabia. There was a gruesome knockout where Fabio Wardley knocked out Fraser Clark. And initially, in the first round, I saw I mean, there it is. It's just one of the most gruesome, vicious knockouts I've ever seen. Side of his head, that's Clark right there. Side of his head was indented, and I was like, "What the hell is that? Is that just the way his body is constructed? Is that the way his head is constructed?" But then you saw his mouth, and it looked like it was the bottom half. The jaw was completely displaced. When you see that, what is going on?
Yeah, I think a couple of things in that case. We're just going to keep this up, right?
I love it.
Anatomy lesson for all day. So that area where you were seeing that impression, that indentation on the skin, is right about up here. And there's a couple of things there. Number one, that's your temporomandibular joint. So if you've heard of people talk about their TMJ or having pain at their TMJ, if you move your jaw up and down, you'll feel those bones move. And that's the joint. There's cartilage in there, just like your knee or your hip. And so that little joint sitting right up here where that mandible goes up into the skull can dislocate. And so one possibility is that joint actually dislocated. The other possibility is a fracture. So if you have a fracture, that bone can be depressed in this area where you can get that little depression in the skin. And so really what they do to treat it depends on whether or not, number one, was the jaw dislocated. If so, they're going to try and get the jaw back in place, number one. And then I imagine some type of CT scan to look and see, is anything broken in this whole area? Does he have a fracture higher up there that needs any sort of plate fixation or treatment otherwise? So yeah, wide variety of things. You Russell Westbrook back in the day, right? When he broke his face and he had this like dent in the side of his head. So same kind of thing, where just the bone gets broke, the bone depresses in, and then the skin gets kind of pulled in with it.
Again, perhaps a silly question. Which injury is worse, that one or what Whittaker suffered?
Ooh, if the jaw's just dislocated, I don't think that's as bad. I think the one that Whittaker suffered is worse, in my opinion, as long as there's not a big major, displaced fracture in the other case. Because in the other case, if that's truly fractured that needs plates, I mean, you're opening up the skin, you're going in there and putting a plate across the bone if it's a severe enough fracture. Whereas Whittaker's, it seems like they're able to just keep everything external and not have to actually go in and cut them back open again.
I understand. Like, we didn't go over any of this, so I understand I'm putting you on the spot here. But since we're talking about the face, I'm reminded of a staph infection that Benoit Saint-Denis had on his forehead several months ago prior to his fight against Dustin Poirier. That looks like a horrible pimple gone wrong, right? But it was a staph infection like 10 days before his fight. And we see this often in fights, like someone says afterwards, I had staph, or we see something on someone's knee. How big of a deal is that? To the fighter, like how detrimental could that be? He got knocked out, and so some wondered if that had anything to do with it. But also, like, how reckless is that to fight? He did not. His was cleared up, but some people thought maybe Magomed Ankalaev had it on Saturday. That's just a thing that was thrown out. But we have heard from fighters afterwards saying, like, yeah, I had it, but I wanted to fight. I needed the money. I needed the opportunity. How reckless is that as well?
Yeah, it's not reckless until it is the best way to describe it. I mean, a lot of athletes, a lot of fighters have skin infections that either go unnoticed or unmanaged. And everybody, it turns out, and does okay, because in general, our bodies are good at fighting and handling infections. The concern with, we hear a lot about these staph infections is because there's a specific strain or type of staph bacteria called MRSA. And MRSA is just more resistant to the standard antibiotics and has more potential to spread. So in the best case scenario, you get a little abscess, you get an infection, you get staph somewhere in your body, but it stays local right there in the skin. Adequate course of antibiotics, it's going to clear up, no big deal. The risk is if that infection spreads from just a little abscess in the skin to your bloodstream. And so then if you get that infection in your bloodstream, then you can become septic, we hear about, can become much more sick, and ultimately can become fatal. So it's one of those unfortunate realities of every sport where there's going to be things that don't get appropriately addressed or missed. And I understand it. I mean, a lot of these guys are going into the fights compromised in different ways. So yeah, just as a point, if you have an active staph infection, you don't want to spread that because you could spread it to your opponent. Your opponent might get that infection in their bloodstream. The majority of time, people are going to be okay because our bodies are pretty good at fighting the infection. So it's always unfortunate to see. I wish the fan base was not so quick to react of every little pimple and bump looking like staph, because it's not. Some of these guys like just have acne or something like that. So yeah, it's something that you just kind of have to hope and assume that the docs that are approving these fighters are doing the checks and making sure people have been on antibiotics appropriately. And at the end of the day, hope for the best, I think.
One of the most famous injuries of the year in MMA, Conor McGregor's pinky toe. When you saw the photo after the fact, once he withdrew, were you surprised that he withdrew?
No, just because of the time point he is in his career, right? I mean, I think he's at a stage where his next fight is extremely important if there is a next fight. And so I can absolutely understand him not wanting to go into a fight somewhat compromised. I mean, yeah, it's a pinky toe, but still, you're putting all that weight on the outside of that toe and it's going to hurt. And if your foot hurts to where you can't adequately defend yourself, you can't perform at a high level, nobody cares about your fractured pinky toe if you end up losing that fight. And so I 100% understand. I think it was justified. If it was a different situation though, where let's say a fighter had one chance only, then it would be safe. There's a difference between things that are safe to try and fight through and things that are going to cause pain and potentially hinder you. And I think it's important to have that distinction. A fractured pinky toe, sure, it's not going to kill you. It's okay. You can try and fight if you can tolerate and manage the pain and kind of understand the risk that it might get worse or might not heal as well afterwards. But also, I think you're very justified in that situation to say, no, I can't function. I can't kick. I can't do what I need to do. And I don't want to compromise the rest of my career if I have a bad performance when nobody's going to care about my fractured pinky toe afterwards.
Mm-hmm. That is a very sensible take. I appreciate that. I will let you go in a moment. Again, thank you so much for this. I did want to ask one last question regarding 308. There was a gentleman named Chris Barnett, who's a fan favorite, who tore his Achilles. And, I remember, speaking of the old days, I remember when my favorite athlete, Patrick Ewing, tore his Achilles. And again, we thought he was done. Kobe Bryant, of course, another famous one as well. Here we have Jamal Hill, tearing his Achilles in July, coming back in April. And just a few months ago, we hear that Chris did as well. Now, I know there's partial tears and there's different levels, but then you see what happened to him with the burst that he had in the intro and then the kick, and you see that he was in a tremendous amount of pain. What do you think happened there? Is it fair to say that maybe he came back too soon?
I don't think so. I don't think it's necessarily for sure. You're right, what you said about there's difference between a full tear, partial tear, et cetera. If I go to any NBA team in the country and I put an ultrasound or I get an MRI on their Achilles, I'm going to see a lot of little partial tears. I'm going to see abnormal changes in a lot of them, but that doesn't mean that it's damaged or injured to the point that they can't play or it's not safe. And so when we hear something like, well, I had a torn Achilles, number one, if it was a fully ruptured Achilles, we would have heard about surgery. He would have had a much longer recovery like Jamal Hill. And so there was probably just a little strain of the Achilles. I didn't see anything in the initial jump that really caught my attention. And he seemed to actually do pretty decent functionally in the early part of the fight. I agree with what he said about it was when he threw that spinning heel kick, I think it was. And if you look at his left leg as he throws that, he kind of hyperextends his knee. He's a big dude. He's swinging all that weight around. And there is a moment where his knee hyperextends and very easily could have been when a hamstring muscle could be strained. And that, I believe, is what we heard from him about a hamstring injury. It fits with the hyperextension whenever he was throwing that kick back around. And that seemed to be the moment when things were triggered. So it's possible, the Achilles was aggravating him. He maybe tweaked it in that jump, but I don't think that jump necessarily injured him to the point that it set the stage for the rest of the fight.
I've been refreshing all day to see if there was a Josh Hart video that got posted, but luckily nothing. So maybe that's good news that he's not.
No, what happened to Josh Hart?
Oh, okay, good. Please leave Josh Hart alone. We don't want. No, he left the game. Maybe now we'll get a video, and it'll be all my fault. He left. Apparently, something happened with his shin. His shin hit his knee. It was a weird fall, and Josh Hart is a pretty tough dude. For him to leave is a little worrisome, and his status is up in the air right now. But we'll leave it at that. I don't want to have a standing appointment with you because I know you're a very busy guy. but I have to say, I would love to have you back on, especially when these notable injuries happen, and they tend to happen quite a bit in these big MMA events. This was illuminating. It was fascinating. Loved it. And thank you so much. And congratulations to you on the explosion of your YouTube page and everything you're doing. You're one of my favorite follows and very, very insightful stuff. Sometimes it's bad news that you're delivering, but that's the job, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I think there's always something you can learn from an unfortunate situation. And I appreciate that. Big fan of yours as well. And I'd be more than happy to come back and keep teaching you and keep teaching your audience as much as we can in the future.
Thank you, Doctor. Really appreciate it. All the best.
Take care.
All right, there he is. Dr. Brian Sutterer, MD. First time we've ever had an MD on the program, guys. Don't you feel a hell of a lot smarter now?
Yeah, I certainly do.
Okay,
that 3D model was incredible.
He has now surpassed Renato Moicano as the most prepared guest as far as technological.
No one's going to be able to pass that, yeah.
That was amazing. I truly do love his channel because you see an injury, you don't know what you're looking at, and then he breaks out this thing. And I didn't know that he was going to break that thing out, but I saw him do it for the Whittaker video, and there he is. How does he even do that? Actually, from a production standpoint, how does he do that? Does anyone know?
It has to just be some sort of software that he has. And you could tell the way he's aligned it to where he's looking at the computer that he's using is spot on. So it looks like he's looking at the 3D model. That's incredible stuff. I see why he has so many subscribers.
Again, as we were talking about, so quick, and that's part of the process. You got to be quick. You got to be on the ball. Very, very, very impressive stuff. So hopefully we don't have to hear too much from him because that means nothing bad is happening, but would love to have him on the show again because he is just a wealth of knowledge and loves fight sports. So he clearly does his research and knows what he's talking about. Okay, very excited to talk to our next guest. One of our favorites, right? One of our favorites, gave us one of the most memorable moments in the history of our program back in the day. Remember this scene?
What the fuck is going on, bro?
Yeah, that scene. We're talking to the man himself, the one and only Marlon Chito Vera. There he is. What does he look like today? Okay, he looks pretty normal. It's not too crazy. You've got a little goatee. It's never the same. We could go, I want to make a montage of all your appearances on the show. You have never looked the same twice in a row. It's unbelievable.
I actually just shaved the size just for you.
There you go. Do you remember that moment?
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
You were getting... Yeah. People were talking much shit, so we're just like, what's going on? It's too much drama. Fuck that, dude.
Marlon, are you in your backyard right now?
No, I'm in Glendale. I just finished wrestling right now.
Glendale where? California or Arizona?
California. Arman Sarukian put me in contact with these very high-level wrestlers, and I've been coming here every morning and then every afternoon. I keep my training with Coach Parillo back home, so an hour away. But, bro, this wrestling is no joke, dude. It's madness, but it's worth it.
Has this happened since your last fight? Is this something that you felt you needed?
Well, I just feel like you always gotta get out of your comfort zone. Some of my main training partners, we know each other so much that at some point the training just become easy in a way because everybody knows everybody. When it comes to grappling and evolution, I was just looking who's the best grappler right now in the UFC, and it's probably Surukin is in that top 3, top 5. So I just hit him up and I say who I can train with, and he point me in the direction with these guys, and I'm here every day.
Wow. So you have no relationship with Armin. You just hit him up out of the blue and asked for some advice?
Pretty much. I'm like,
Huh.
yo, bro, who's the best wrestler I can find in LA? And he'd say, hit up my boy Maxine, and we train all the time now. So simple as that.
And do you feel, I mean, you've been doing this for a long time. Do you feel like a rookie again? Do you feel like you're starting, and learning basic stuff that you didn't know before?
I'll be honest, man. I normally the guy that helped me with wrestling is a really high level guy, and he brings me like D1 kids or like high school kids at a high level. And dude, I haven't get this ragdoll ever. And I go to the best grappling academy, which is AOJ, and I survived, dude. I actually do pretty well, but these fucking guys are built different. Like they're strong, and they're like very athletic, very flexible. Like it's not just like strength and speed. It's a little bit of everything, and I like that. It's almost like you start. It's a new beginning, so it's fresh. Make me feel enthusiastic. Drive an hour every day, but do whatever it takes to win a fight. I'm that guy. I'm that hungry, and there's nothing leaving my soul. I'm just trying to like just stretch everything. I'm like, I want to make it again. I want to get to the round table again and eat the big meal, but this time I want to eat the dessert too. So I'm making the little changes to see if that paid off. At the end of the day, I'm doing everything I can, and that's what is that's what it counts. I'm making the days counts, if that makes sense.
I love it. Yeah. Don't count the days, make the days count. One of my favorite lines. Your last fight was in August. We were on hiatus. And so I haven't had a chance to speak to you about it all. Now here we are, 2.5 months removed. How do you feel about what happened in Abu Dhabi?
I mean, I like to live with no regrets and kind of like not being bitching about like excuses or like what could be better, what could not. If I have to like say something, I would have said I should have just wait to stick to the original plan. That was come back in November MSG. I will have enough time to recover. I will have enough time to take time off, give time to my family, and that's the problem when you're in shape all the time. They call me like mid. They call me end of June, which pretty much gives me 4 weeks of training camp. And I just got excited. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm ready. But then I didn't realize I was a little burned, fight to fight to fight. But when you're in shape, you think you're fine. But sometimes it's really hard to check mentally where you are when you're feeling good. And I was feeling good, so I don't have excuses. So I went in there, and then when I was in there, I was kind of like, oh, here we go again. I gotta do this shit. Okay, let's go. Let's fucking get in a fist fight. I got the balls to do it, but it would be healthier if I just take the time off. Just, and when I say time off, doesn't mean party, drinking, getting fat. It means train, but without nothing scheduled. So you can be more creative. You can have more time to think about what you want to do. And I just jumped straight back to camp, and I just felt a little off. And not to mention that axe kick in the ground definitely moved my ideas a little bit. And I mean, with that point deduction, I probably win the fight. We're talking a different conversation right now.
Right. And just curious about the return. Was there anyone trying to convince you not to come back in August and to wait? Did you ask advice?
I mean, I'm not the type of guy. It doesn't matter how big the fight is or how big I get. I always call my coach. I always call my team before I accept anything. And I said, like, hey guys, we got present this offer, Abu Dhabi, and then we all agree like, oh, maybe too quick. But then that's the problem when you're feeling good. Like I was sparring already. I was feeling good. My body was healthy, no injuries. So it's almost like we let the moment and the feeling good emotion just get ahead of us instead of you know what, fuck it, let's just wait, let's do this in New York as we speak, heading to the hospital in Miami. Like literally, like we say, we're fighting in New York. So I could take 2 months off. I started training in August, and then go full blast for November. And looking back, I'm like, okay, never again. I won't do that mistake again, because they actually called me 2 weeks ago for a short notice, and I had like 4 weeks to like prepare, pretty much make weight. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I do it January or February.
Oh, wow. Can I ask what that was?
It was Sonja Don in Vegas in the Apex, and I love it. It was I got 5 rounds to get him tired and kick his ass. I say, but then I said like, okay, don't get excited again, because it's so easy to get excited when you're running 13 miles every other week. It's like, I know I can. If you put on gloves right now, I can fight 5 rounds right now. But at this level, at this point of my career, you need to just get everything.
Oh, it was looking so good there for a moment.
We'll get right back.
It's really getting dark outside. Jeez.
Yeah, you all right in there?
Yeah, no, I'm good. It looks like it's about to be a storm.
You're supposed to stay away from windows during storms.
Jeez,
might have to end the show early.
Sometimes I feel like I affect the connection, because I was just thinking to myself, oh, the connection got much better.
Yeah, we need you to just
Yeah.
pure thoughts.
And then I was like, oh, fuck. Please don't. I'm just praying to the Zoom gods, the internet gods. But we will reconnect with Marlon.
What the fuck is going on, bro?
I actually
Got him. I
actually thought that was.
Oh, man.
I thought that
So
was.
happy with myself.
I
think I'm done.
Frank, you nailed it. I always love his perspective when it comes to these things. Keeps it real. Admits, hey, maybe I came back too soon. Remember, that fight against Sean O'Malley was in March, and then he came back in August, early August 3rd, same night as the Terrence Crawford Israel Madrimov fight, if you recall. Feels like a decade ago now. We were in Paris. We were doing MMA hour shows from my hotel room. Remember that, guys? Remember those days?
Those are the days.
I actually think that the Monday after that fight was my last MMA hour ever.
Don't even remember that.
Nah.
That's too long ago.
That is true. And I know he loves New York City. And I remember speaking to him after the Sugar Sean O'Malley fight, and he had mentioned that he was going to, lean towards a New York City return. Him and Action Bronson are like, they're inseparable, and Action is the king of New York, essentially. If he's listening right now, hello, Action, how are you? And so that made all the sense in the world. Perhaps even Action walks him out. Action did go to one of his fights in San Diego. I don't think he was in Abu Dhabi. Definitely was in Miami. Didn't walk him out there. So maybe that would be a little much. But when I saw that he was fighting Figgy, especially, who's on a roll, looking good at 135, and 5 months later, I was like, oh, wow, this is a little bit different. And Figgy now has his next assignment. He is fighting Thanksgiving weekend in Macau against Petr Yan, which is a tremendous fight. Who's the favorite in that fight? I'm going to guess Fig.
I can tell you right now.
I'm going to find it first.
Are you?
Let's see.
I actually can't find it at all.
Wow. Figueiredo, Brandon Moreno came up.
Yeah, Figgiano. I don't even see odds for it.
What the hell? What the fuck is going on, bro? What the hell? Yeah, there's no odds.
Who you got this weekend for your fight?
My fight?
Yeah, Big Aben Zahabi.
We'll get to that.
God, I'm looking at the book right now. UFC Vegas 100.
This is it.
Can't wait.
Where is Marlon, by the way? Have we not found him?
No, we found him. He just logged on.
Okay, cool. Is Zahabi the favorite?
Slightly, yeah.
Wow, Bo Nickal's a minus 1,000 against Paul Craig?
Paul Craig?
1,000?
Yeah, I mean, it's Bo Nickel.
I know, but still, Paul Craig's been around the block. Yeah, I was expecting like a minus 750, a minus 850, a minus 1,000? I mean, what was he? Oh, there he is. Hey, Marlon.
-1,000. That's fucking disrespectful.
That's crazy, right?
I mean, he's pretty dominant.
Yeah, he is pretty dominant.
I give it to him.
So the axe kick, it really messed you up?
When he hit me, in my mind, like two things crossed my head. Just do the soccer play, I'd be like, oh, my face.
Yeah.
But I also, for a second, I thought he hit me in the chest and it sliced to the face. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to be a bitch about it. And I got mad. I flipped at him. And instead of I should just probably took my time and be like, okay, give me 1 second. But he definitely moved my ideas. When I saw the replay, I was like, holy shit, my head bounced in the canvas. And I was like, that can't be good.
No. So did you feel like you never quite recovered? Because that happened in the first.
I just fought. At the end of the first one, I got kind of so mad that made me fought emotional. But also that could be because my head was fucking twisted. Like when you get hit in the head, bad things happen, right? So that was when I rewatched the fight, I was like, whoa. After that kick, I kind of I was foggy the whole time. I mean, if it would be a clean punch, I mean, I give it to him, but that dirty Brazilian.
Yeah. Was he better than you thought he would be? Tougher?
No, he's a former champion. I was expecting nothing but that. I mean, he's tiny, but that doesn't mean he's not a good fighter. And he's old jerky. He make you he don't make you believe. He seems to be fighting really scared backwards with the head in the air, but he just moves so much. It's hard to catch those rabbits. So I'm just. It's all experience. It's all experience and the learning process. So just taking everything out of it, soak it, and just keep evolving. I mean, I'm in the gym every day. I'm not sacrificing this much for no reason.
He was champ at 125. Now that you fought him, you think he could be champ at 135?
I mean, he could because he got the pedigree. He's already been there, but he's tiny, dude. Guys like Sanhagen and O'Malley can be a problem, and even Merab can be a problem because he wasn't even able to get me down and control me, and punch for punch. Those other guys, some of those guys got even more weight than me, but I wish him the best. I'm not gonna, I'm not a typical hater just talking shit because he lost a fight.
No.
He could do it. He could do it.
Were you surprised Merab beat Sugar?
Not really, man. Fight makes styles, and Merab have a style that he don't stop taking you down and putting pressure. I will say definitely this. I think it's a better matchup. I will have a better matchup against him than Sean, and maybe I got a little more of a stroke with a tall, lanky guy. I mean, the MMA math never makes sense.
And so Sean still thinks that he won the fight. Do you see any scenario? I'm assuming you saw the fight, right? Do you see any scenario that he?
I was there.
Yeah. Okay. So
I mean, the first time he played I won the fight with the commission and blah blah blah. I mean, yeah, it was fun, but the second time it's like, come on, dude, get a job or grow up from it. It's one time was cool. Okay, the first time with me, sure, yeah, it was a fluke, and God put me, some strength in the fat toe. But now it's like, okay, we already hear the same shit. Okay, cool, amazing. It's like a comic. You gotta come with new jokes. If not, you just become a fucking dork. But Merab won the fight. Merab won the fight clear, so good for him.
Did you like the Sphere experience?
I don't get impressed by a big fucking TV. It was okay. I mean, it was amazing what the UFC did. The move in the background about Mexico, that was beautiful. But I'm not like, oh my god, that's a huge TV. It's not like I'm gonna pay a ticket to go see a concert there anytime soon.
Okay, fair enough. By the way, Merab Umar, do you think it's too soon for Umar? Do you think it's not unfair, but do you think he has done enough to warrant this title shot?
I mean, he's definitely got the push of the name, right? And he's been winning. But before Corey Sanhagen, he fought a bunch of newcomers. So if it would be a different guy, it would probably stay in the top 30 pool for over a year. Like for an example, like how many good guys are like trying to get to the top 15 and taking so much time, but because he's part of Khabib's team and they share the same last name, they got a different push. I mean, like I always say, good for them. That's a fortunate place to be. But I mean, beating Corey was impressive, but being able to jump from nothing to Corey is kind of like, if you were to do that to me at the beginning, you know, you're so excited and so confident that might shoot you forward faster. But I really went through the whole grind of fighting newcomers, fighting the older guys, fighting the tough fights. And that's what, like, you know, like Poirier said, like nothing given, everything earned. So when I see a guy that kind of get fast tracked because they, I don't know, they're from a bigger country or something like that, I'm just like, it's hard for me to appreciate that.
By the way, just curious, who do you think wins?
I mean, that's a great fight. I mean, wrestling-wise, I will assume that Umar has better wrestling in terms of like technique for technique, but fucking Merab can shoot non-stop. Merab seems like he could get hurt if someone really fight him intelligent, like if someone is not afraid of getting taken down. And Umar is probably not the best striker in the world either. Like he throws a lot of kicks and jumps, but I don't see like a clean striking on him. So both of those guys can be hurt if you are willing to be taken down and not be like just so worried about the takedown.
What do you think of Ilya?
Fuck, man, that guy, he's like a version of Alex Pereira. Like they just seem to be perfect, man. Like it's amazing to watch them just fucking sleep people like that. Like makes me like motivate me to like, I want to get better. I want to fucking go back to sleeping people like that. So it's amazing. It's fucking amazing. He's like a perfect fighter.
What gives you a greater sensation? A beautiful knockout or a beautiful submission? Like, what do you get? Like, when you see that, what makes you feel a certain way?
There's not even a comparison. When you fucking slap someone out, your fucking dick gets hard, man. It's fucking amazing. It's fucking sleeping someone out is fucking the coolest feeling in the world, dude. I'm not driving 2 hours every day just to like. I'm driving 2 hours a day to be very good at grappling, but almost not to use it, but I want to just fucking ragdoll people with one punch. But it's just part of the process, you know. If I get very good at all these, like I mean, I'm pretty good at grappling. I just, you know, it's inches. At this level, it's inches. So all this hard work will pay off. But sleeping people is fucking sweet.
When you're going to these practices in Glendale, are you riding in that sick old school car that you got? I saw you got some. I'm not a car guy, but that shit is legit.
Fire.
What is it?
Fire.
What kind of car is that? What kind of car?
It's an 87 Grand National. Look at that thing. It's fucking sweet.
I mean, look at your hair. Your hair looks fantastic. You look completely different in this photo than here. How long ago are these photos taken?
That's like probably like 2 weeks before the Figueiredo fight.
Look at you. That's.
I'm not gonna cut my hair. By the way, I'm not gonna cut my hair until the end of the year. So it's coming back.
Okay, all right. That's 87. What'd you say? Grand National?
Buick Grand National. That's like you know, that's like top of the cream taste of automotor.
And how do you find that?
I love the car my whole life, and beginning of last year, I was just one of my friends that he's very well known in the car world, in terms of like parts, mechanics, everything. I get to meet him through Mr. Cartoon, and he's the one that helped me finding cars, fixing my cars, or stuff like that. So he helped me find the Grand National and the Impala 96. That another friend of mine helped me find it, and I just love old cars, man. Old cars make me so happy to drive. Like today, I drove my 96 Impala, and it felt sweet, man.
How many you have?
I got the Impala, the Grand National, my F-150 92, which that's my heart. That's the car that I drive my dad drove when I was a kid, and my Raptor R. That's just to go over the zombies if something happened.
When you drive the car that your dad drove, what does that do? Like, how does that make you feel?
I use memories, man. Like sometimes I look back and I'm like, holy shit, we're a family of 5, and sometimes we go on a road trip for like 6 hours. Like my dad, my mom, I'm sitting on her lap, my brother and my sister on a one-cab car, and I don't remember no one complaining like, oh, it's not comfy. We're just laughing and having a good time. So sometimes you gotta remember those things to stay grounded and stay on the present. Don't let the bullshit and the cloud kind of like take the focus away. And sometimes you're just watching at that car and driving it, I'm like making me remember where it came from, what took me to come here, and what will keep pushing me to go where I want to be.
Do you have a dream car? Like, do you own your dream car, or you still are searching for it?
I don't have a dream car. If this makes sense, I don't like exotic cars. Like
No.
I could get one, but I don't like them. Like it's not my thing. And like I mean, I would probably keep collecting old cars, like few more older ones. Like I want a Fox Body Mustang, like a 89, 91. I want an El Camino 69. What else I want? I want a bunch of old cars, man. And eventually, maybe, like the most exotic I'm gonna get is a Porsche, but that's more like a fun drive than exotic.
You know what's my dream car? This one right here. This is the one I want.
Bro, the Volkswagen. Yeah, one of my friends, one of Parillo's best friends, has one in his warehouse.
Yeah.
Dude, that thing is pristine. It's brand new.
Oh.
He has a GT3 RS Porsche. Like I'm like, dude, you got the sickest and the slowest and the sickest and the fastest, and that's all he has.
Man, that's the one. That's the one. One day, I'm not a big car guy, but there's something about like this car that to me is happiness. I just feel like the idea of like driving my kids around in this car and just being like, oh yeah, we're gonna go on a road trip, just feels like a good time, right?
And you should get the same color.
Yes, I love this color with the white top and the yellow. It's freaking sick.
Yeah, that's sick. My friend is like a light blue with a white top. It's pretty fucking amazing.
And before I let you go, you mentioned something to me last week. I don't know if it's public. Do you have a show now? Are you doing a podcast too?
I have my own podcast, yes.
And what's it called?
Just Chito Vera podcast. Nice and simple. You wanna find me, you will find me.
Okay, I'm gonna find you. I'm looking for. And are you doing stuff in fashion too?
I worked for the fashion show a few weeks ago for my friend brand Willie Chavarria. That was pretty cool. Like in front of me, walking the walk was YG, and like 4 people more up was Joy Barra. So I felt like I was next to like pretty important people.
Yes. Look at you. So you got your next thing lined up. When you're done fighting in 10, 15 years, you could be a model. You and Luke Rockhold.
I already took his job. I think he's a little too old now. He's gonna kill me for that, but I'm sorry, Luke. I love you.
So in a go ahead.
Perfect work.
Yeah.
Tell me.
No, I was going to say in a perfect world, obviously that day is not coming in a very long time. But that's I feel like that's something you'd like to be in, like the world of fashion, clothes, things like that. I
love streetwear, man. I love streetwear. I like clothes. I'm not a big of like designer top to bottom. Like sometimes money can buy you clothes, but a style, no one can give you that. And I feel like that's the most important thing for me. And sometimes it's not even trying hard. It's just some people just have it, man. And that's it for me. And I like good clothes, good shoes. And luckily I'm able to be friends with a lot of good people in the industry of both and get to get a little bit taste of it. And I love that. And, once I'm done, I think about my own coffee shop, having, my own shit like that. Like, I want to live a good life, man. That's all I want to do. But that's not going to be until I'm 37. So I'm 31 and I got 5-6 years to fucking grind, put my head down and just try my hardest to claim that goal. But that's the main goal at the moment.
By the way, why 37, not 38, 39, 40? Why that number?
I kind of put that so I can not rush it, but do things better, because sometimes think about it. Fighters at 40 doesn't do too well in the little weight class. It's like if you're a big guy, I will go to 40, but 135 is not a young, it's not an old people weight cut. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna be hard to cut weight. Like, some guys went. If we go name for name, like the guys that went a little older, they started getting hurt. I mean, Faber, Aldo. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that they've. I mean, Aldo actually is a young guy. He's not a 40-year-old man. Sometimes I forget, but because his trajectory. But Faber was a little older when he get KO by Jan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just 135 is not a weight class to fight past 38, 37, I believe.
Okay.
And as of today, thank God my body's pretty good. I check my brain a few times a year, and I'm healthy. I just think 37 will be enough, but we'll see.
Last thing, if it was up to you, when would you like to return and against who?
I think January in LA can be great for me, so I can have my own crowd, but I guess I have my own crowd everywhere I go these days. But LA can be good, or Mexico City if they give you the main event. And I mean, the guy ahead of me is Henry Cejudo. I'm number 6, he's number 5 if I'm not wrong. So Henry Cejudo, Mexico City can be great, or even LA can be great. So
wow, that would be insane. That would be incredible. You versus Henry?
Yeah.
Now you're doing all this wrestling? You're going to out-wrestle him, the gold medalist?
No, well, I will punch him in the face, to be honest, but but we'll see. We'll see. I think that's a great fight. Honestly, the fight that I was really, really wanting was Jan, but then God bless Figueiredo, he took it from me. So, good luck out there for both of those men. But I think I haven't fought Cejudo, so Cejudo will be a great fight. If not, there's 3 rematches I could take, which is Corey, Sean, or Aldo. But I would say the guy that I haven't fought and the former champion might be my best option at the moment, just because he's just a new name.
Okay, let's see how it plays out. I love that idea. Always great to catch up with you, Chito. Thank you so much for the time. You're the man. You look fantastic. Great head on your shoulders. Great perspective. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you too. I'll be in New York next week.
Okay, hit me up. Me, you in action.
Marathon Saturday.
Me, you in action. We'll have some matzo ball soup.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do that.
You're the man. Thank you, Chito.
Okay,
much
bro.
love.
Bye.
There he is, Chito Vera, the freaking man. Great stuff there, and I would love that fight against Henry Cejudo. Who wouldn't? Now, like I said, Saturday, featherweight title fight. We were all wondering how it would play out. In the end, Ilia Topuria wins. He wins in decisive, dominant, somewhat shocking fashion. He knocks out Max Holloway. First man to do so. Front row, Alex Volkanovski, Diego Lopes. Diego Lopes weighed in, backup fighter. He's on a roll. Last time we saw him, Sphere, Brian Ortega. He is the freaking man right now. He is beloved. He is on a streak, and everyone thinks that he is next, or if not, at the very worst, one fight away. He's kind enough to join us right now with his translator, Edgar Gonzalez. Hola, Diego. Thank you for the time. Obrigado.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I gave you Spanish there and Portuguese, just because I know you do both. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for. Are you back home? Are you back in the United States? Are you in Mexico? Are you in Abu Dhabi? Where are you right now?
Now I'm staying in Puebla. I go my home. I'm staying here for a little bit rest, but keep it working, no?
Okay, and by the way, we have a translator here, Edgar, but you don't need translator anymore. Your English is great.
No, I need translation. I have a little bit worse, but I need translation.
Where have you learned this English? Are you taking lessons?
No.
You're just practicing.
Yeah, I only practice for my manager, my teams, everybody, is there in the events for UFC. I stay for practice.
Amazing. Well done. Muy bien. Okay, so you were in Abu Dhabi and you weighed in as the backup fighter. Could I ask how was that process to prepare, not knowing that you were going to fight, but if it worked out for you, you would be fighting for the belt. So the grind of going to the gym and preparing, what was that like, knowing that you weren't actually scheduled to fight, you were just getting ready to be the backup fighter?
Diego, ¿cómo te fue todo el proceso en Abu Dhabi de entrenar para hacer peso sabiendo que no vas a pelear, pero posiblemente puedes pelear?
Pues fue un proceso interesante, ¿no? Yo estuve entrenando como si realmente fuera a pelear. Yo pedía ser el backup, pues iba a llegar ahí, iba a hacer el peso, así como fue, ¿no? Llegué, hice peso y estaba listo para lo que pasara, ¿no? Yo estaba listo porque, bueno, lo que pasó en mi pelea en UFC 303, yo creo que cuando se canceló la pelea con Ortega 3 horas para el evento, podríamos estar listos para cualquier cosa, ¿no? Llegué, hice mi trabajo, hice peso y estaba listo.
Same process here as my last fight in 303. I work hard every day, I train hard every day. The last time, we did all the right stuff and the fight fell through. This time we were ready for anything that was unexpected that could happen.
What was your gut saying to you? What were you feeling? Did you think that someone would withdraw, or did you feel like it was probably a long shot?
¿Tú qué pensabas en tu mente? ¿Pensabas que alguien te iba a caer la pelea o pensabas que era posibilidad que podías pelear por el título?
Pues sabíamos que era muy difícil, ¿no? Porque son dos peleadores que siempre han cumplido con la báscula, ¿no? Siempre han cumplido con el peso y sabíamos que era muy difícil, pero nosotros estábamos con la mentalidad de que lo que pasara estaríamos listos.
He said, well, with both fighters, we know that we all struggle with a little bit of weight. Anything could happen, so we were just going to be ready just in case of something did fall through.
The experience of having to cut weight or make weight 4 times this year, but really, if you go back to November, that's 5 times for you in the span of almost, a little less than a year. It's unbelievable. How was your body dealing with that? Not a lot of people are making 145 that many times, or 135 lower weight classes. How did your body feel in this particular weight cut?
¿Cómo te sientes tu cuerpo en este año? Hiciste peso en un año calendario 4 veces, pero pensándolo, desde noviembre a este noviembre hiciste el corte de peso 5 veces. ¿Tu cuerpo cómo lo reacciona a eso?
Pues lo está reaccionando de la mejor manera posible, ¿no? Yo creo que tengo pues la mejor persona de mi lado, se llama Jason Oregon, que es mi nutriólogo. Él es la persona que es encargada de todo eso, ¿no? Si él me dice que podemos hacer, pues lo hacemos, ¿no? Entonces, hasta entonces que hemos hecho peso 5 veces el último año. Y pues nada, mi cuerpo está bien, estoy sano y pues bueno, si usted me habla, pues estoy listo para hacer peso otra vez.
I have a nutritionist, Jay Obregon, with me. He guides me through everything. He's helped me with all 5 weight cuts. He keeps me ready, and if he says we can take it and we're ready, then I trust him.
What was your reaction? We saw you on camera, but it's hard to know what you're thinking. When you saw Ilya knock out Max Holloway, he had never been knocked out before. It was a great fight leading up to that point. Could you tell us what you were thinking, and were you expecting that as a possibility?
¿Cuál fue tu reacción cuando viste que Ilya noqueó a Max? Nunca lo habían noqueado. ¿Tú qué pensaste? ¿Cuál fue tu reacción cuando viste que eso pasara?
Pues yo creo que más una reacción del knockout de Ilya, pues obvio fue un knockout muy bueno, ¿no? Se sorprendió a todos, pero yo creo que la sorpresa de todos más que nada fue ver a Max en esa situación, ¿no? Yo creo que eso fue lo que sorprendió a todos.
He said it was a good knockout. It was really impressive, but it was even more shocking just to see Max on the floor. It never been happened. He was just really shocked by that.
What did you think was going to happen going into the fight?
Empezando la pelea, ¿qué pensabas que iba a pasar en la pelea?
Pues yo realmente pensé que la pelea se iba a alargar un poco más, ¿no? Max estaba haciendo un gran trabajo, manteniendo la distancia, trabajando con golpes largos, pero yo siempre había comentado pues con mi hermano que estaba de mi lado de que en un momento que Tupuria pudiera encurtar la distancia, pues bueno, iba a tener a Max sin problema, ¿no? Y así fue lo que pasó.
Max did a good job keeping the distance in the fight, but he did mention to his brother during the fight that if Ilya got in there, he could have a chance to knock him out.
Okay, so sorry. So you're saying that Max made some mistakes and he could have knocked out Ilya, or am I misunderstanding that? I'm having a hard time hearing Edgar.
Sorry. Sorry, that was
there's a bit of an echo. That's why. So if I don't know if you're on the speakerphone or something like that, but I just want to make sure that I am understanding what Diego is saying. So do you mind just retranslating that for me?
Sure. He said that Max did a good job keeping the distance in the beginning of the fight. He thought that the fight would go on a lot longer, but he told his brother if Ilya somehow got the opportunity to close the distance, he could definitely knock him out.
Okay. And just curious, going into the fight, like on fight week, what were you thinking? Who did you think was actually going to win and how?
Empezando la semana de fight week, ¿tú quién pensabas que iba a ganar?
No, pues yo a todos le había dicho que pensaba que iba a ganar Max, ¿no? Pero nunca había descartado la posibilidad de Topuria, pues, noquearlo, ¿no? Porque es lo que ha hecho en sus peleas pasadas, ¿no?
Going into fight week, he thought that Max was going to win. He never ever thought that Ilya would knock him out.
Wow. Were you hoping as well Max was going to win because, he's a legend, things like that? Like, were you rooting for one guy over the other?
¿Max era tu favorito en la pelea porque es una leyenda o por qué?
No, pues por el simple hecho de haber peleado con todo tipo de peleador dentro de la división, ¿no? No solo yo, como muchos peleadores habíamos pensado que Max iba a ganar la pelea, ¿no? Pero nunca dimos a Topuria como descartado, ¿no? Sabíamos que él podía hacer trabajo también y así fue.
Max was the favorite for him just because he's always, he's fought everybody, different weight classes. Ilya, really showed out that day.
Sometimes we have seen situations where someone is the backup fighter, they weigh in, and as a result of that, they get a title shot. Not often, or I should say, sometimes we've also seen situations where that hasn't happened. When you agreed to be the backup fighter, were you told you are going to be next?
Muchas veces el que hace pesaje como el backup le toca la pelea de título próximamente. A veces no pasa. Pero a ti te prometieron que te iban a dar la pelea de título después de ser el backup.
No, a nosotros no nos dijeron nada concreto, ¿no? No nos pusieron pues nada en la mesa, simplemente nos dieron la oportunidad de ser el backup. Y pues bueno, ahorita es lo que vamos a buscar, ¿no? Vamos a buscar la oportunidad de pelear por el título.
We were never promised a title shot, going into this. We just agreed to be the backup, but we will for sure try to find our way to that title shot.
And you were sitting, it seemed, right next to Alex Volkanovski. Did you speak to him at all?
Sentaste al ladito de Alex Volkanovski en la pelea. ¿Hablaste con él en la pelea?
Sí, pues la verdad es que pues, en toda la semana lo he visto en la Fight Week, ¿no? Y pues siempre hemos hablado pues normal, ¿no? Como compañeros de trabajo nada más.
I saw him during the week, and they talked all week, just like coworkers, no animosity at all.
Okay, yeah, no, and you are two of the more respectful people, so I wouldn't expect anything else than that. It seems like he is going to be next because he went in the cage afterwards, and Ilya said he'll do it. He's happy to give him the shot, and Dana said the same. How do you feel about that? Do you feel okay with that decision?
Parece que sí va a pelear Alex por el título próximamente porque él entró a la jaula y Ilya le dijo que él quería pelear con él. Hasta Dana dijo que él quería pelear con él. ¿Tú cómo te sientes sobre todo eso?
Pues vamos a ver qué va a pasar, ¿no? Topuria dijo que quería tomar un tiempo de descanso, ¿no? Dijo que quería descansar un poco. También UFC todavía no tiene ninguna fecha concreta para regresar, bueno, para ir a España, para aterrizar en España. Entonces yo creo que, pues bueno, por el momento y por el tiempo que ella va a tomar descanso, yo creo que nada más justo que hacer la pelea contra Volkanovski en Sydney por el título interino, ¿no? Yo creo que Volka ya ha mencionado eso, ya ha mencionado que quiere pues esta pelea, caso no pueda pelear con Topuria tan pronto. Entonces yo creo que pues es lo que podemos hacer, ¿no? Volka ya ha sugerido pues esta pelea. Yo he querido también, entonces yo creo que podemos ir a Sydney, peleamos por el título interino y lo que UFC tiene una fecha exacta para ir a España, ¿no?
He said that Ilya mentioned on Saturday night that he wanted to take some time off. Also, UFC mentioned that they're working on a date for Spain. He feels that while this is all going on, it would make the most sense for him to just fight Volk in Sydney for the interim title. Volk has already suggested this. I've already agreed to it. Let's just do it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're saying the February event in Sydney, Your suggestion is to fight Alex Volkanovski, and the winner fights Ilya for the interim title. This is what you would like. Do you think that there's any chance of this happening? Are you actively, or your management, Jason House, your manager, talking to the UFC about this?
¿Tú crees que esa sería posibilidad? ¿Está Jason hablando con UFC sobre esto?
Pues yo creo que es una posibilidad, ¿no? Porque, como digo, o UFC todavía no tiene una fecha concreta para ir a España y Ilya ya dijo que solo quiere pelear si es en España, ¿no? Y pues bueno, dejando todo eso, yo creo que Volkanovski es un peleador que no le gusta esperar, él quiere pelear en Sydney, yo puedo viajar a Sydney, podemos pelear en Sydney y después de ahí, pues yo puedo ir a España.
He said it all just makes sense. You know, Ilya wants to take some time off. Ilya wants to fight in Spain for his title defense. Volk doesn't want to wait. Volk wants to fight. I want to fight. I don't mind flying to Sydney to fight him.
How do you feel a fight against the legend Alex Volkanovski at this point in his career? How do you see it playing out, you versus him?
En este punto de la carrera de Volkanovski, ¿cómo sientes tú peleando con él?
Pues es una pelea que me motiva bastante, ¿no? Es un peleador que le he acompañado durante muchos años, durante mucho tiempo, pero yo creo que sería como una pelea para la renovación de la división, ¿no? Para que nuevas caras puedan estar contendiendo al título, ¿no? Yo creo que es una pelea bastante interesante. Yo confío en el trabajo de mi equipo, yo confío en mi trabajo y yo sé que podemos salir con la victoria.
You know, Volk is a legend. You know, he's done it for a long time, but it's time to see fresh faces in the division, give it a little refresh. I trust my work, I trust my people, and I'm confident.
How do you think he would feel about this idea? Do you feel like he would be into it? Do you think he'd be open to this?
¿Tú crees que Volkanovski quiera pelear contigo en Sydney? ¿Él estaría abierto a esa idea?
Pues ele já mencionado que ele queria, pues poderia ser uma possibilidade, não, de pelear comigo, pues por el título interino em Sydney, caso Topuria pues não tuviera que tomar um descanso, não, e é o que Topuria quer, ele já disse que vai tomar um descanso, pues en lo que o UFC lhe dá uma fecha para o UFC Espanha, então se Volkanovski não quer esperar, eu posso viajar a Sydney, podemos fazer a pelea por el título interino, pues para ver quem vai ser a próxima pelea por el título.
UFC has said that there's no real date on Spain yet. Ilya's mentioned that he wants to rest. You know, if Volk has a rush to fight or wants to fight, you know, I don't mind going to Sydney and fight.
By the way, now that you've seen Ilya in person, and you obviously have seen him before as well, your thoughts on how you would match up against him, and could you give us, because you are such a great coach as well, you've obviously helped so many great fighters in Mexico City, the great Alexa Grasso at the top of the list, Irene Aldana as well. What kind of game plan can you tell us you would employ against Ilya right now?
Ahora que has visto a Ilya en persona y lo puedes ver bien, ¿tú cómo lo pelearías? Como eres buen coach, eres coach de Irene, de Alexa, ¿qué tipo de game plan tendrías tú para esta pelea?
Pues yo creo que todos hemos visto cómo trabaja Topuria, ¿no? Si lo deja venir para adelante es muy peligroso. A mí me gusta ir para adelante, entonces sería como básicamente un choque, ¿no? Si él viene para adelante va a topar con pared, simplemente es así. Si nosotros estamos listos pues para plantarnos adelante con él, pues dar una buena pelea de intercambio, pues bueno, sabemos, yo tengo manos pesadas, él tiene manos pesadas y sabemos que a cualquier momento uno de los dos puede caer, ¿no?
You know, we know watching Ilya's fights that he's very forward and likes to create pressure. I also like to create pressure, and we both have very heavy hands. It'd be a really good fight, and, you know, any one of us could drop at any moment because of this.
By the way, the last time we saw you in action, you were fighting at the Sphere on the same card as Alexa. Would you prefer not to fight on the same card as your teammates and the fighters that you help train and corner as well? Would that make life easier for you?
Última vez que peleaste en la Esfera, peleaste y de volada fuiste a hacer la esquina de Alexa. En un evento perfecto, ¿preferirías solamente ser tú el único peleador de tu equipo o prefieres tener a otros compañeros peleando para hacer esquina y coach todavía?
Pues bueno, hemos platicado ya eso dentro del equipo, ¿no? Y pues nosotros vamos buscar que nos seamos más de 2 peleadores en la misma cartelera, pues para que podamos hacer un buen trabajo todos, ¿no? Sé que hicimos un buen trabajo, pero bueno, acabamos, algunas cosas salieron de control. Y pues bueno, si es por mí, yo preferiría pelear a parte de la cartelera de ellos para poder ayudarlos ellos en sus peleas.
You know, as a team, we have talked about all this. You know, we don't mind there being more than one fighter, so we can corner each other. But ideally, I'd like to just, you know, be the only fighter, so we can all focus on the one goal.
Did you enjoy the experience at the Sphere?
¿Te gustó mucho la experiencia de la esfera?
Ah, sí, definitivamente, ¿no? Poder hacer los dos viajes, tanto como peleador como coach, a mí fue una experiencia muy buena, ¿no? Fue una experiencia muy buena y pues lo disfrutamos mucho.
You love being a coach and a fighter at that sphere. It was a great experience. It was just all around great.
Your fight against Brian was very impressive. I'm wondering if I'm onto something here. That initial flurry that you rocked him with, it looked like you actually knocked him out. And then as he was falling, you hit him with the secondary punch, which kind of like woke him up. Do you think if you didn't land that second punch, it would have been like, I don't remember what it was, a 30-second knockout or something like that? Is that possible?
Dice que al comienzo de la pelea con Brian le dices dos golpes. El primero lo noqueó y el segundo parece que lo despertaste. ¿Tú piensas que si no le hubieras dado el segundo golpe, hubiera sido un knockout de 30 segundos de Brian?
Pues bueno, tudo parece que sí, ¿no? Ya hemos visto el vídeo varias veces y parece que realmente lo apagué con el primer golpe y lo desperté con el segundo. Pero yo creo que realmente quien nos podría decir, contestar la respuesta, pues sería Brian, ¿no? Pues para ver lo que sintió en este momento.
He said, my team and I have watched the video 1,000 times. It seems like the first one knocked him out and the second one woke him up, but I guess if you want a real answer, you have to ask Brian because he's the one that felt all that.
That is true. Were you happy with your performance? Were you happy with what you did out there against him?
¿Estuviste muy feliz con tu pelea en la esfera?
Sí, definitivamente. Yo creo que pude dejar un gran mensaje pues, a todos, ¿no? Pude pelear 3 rounds con un peleador de bastante nivel dentro de UFC, con el número 3 del mundo en este momento, ¿no? Pude demostrar de lo que soy capaz, pude demostrar una vez más que tengo poder en mis manos y también pude demostrar ahora que puedo pelear 3 rounds y pues llevar la pelea pues tranquila, ¿no? Hasta entonces que gané todos los rounds en la tarjeta y hasta un juiz dio 30-26 para mí.
He said that my performance at 306 just showed that I can fight anybody. You know, I have a great skill set. I'm ready whenever.
By the way, speaking of people that you fought in the past, Danny Ige fought on Saturday against Lerone Murphy. What did you think of that fight? And could I ask who you thought won the fight?
También Danny Ige peleó en Abu Dhabi. ¿Tú qué pensaste de su pelea y quién pensaste que ganó en esa pelea?
Pues fue una pelea muy cerrada, fue una pelea bastante competitiva, ¿no? Principalmente en el tercer round. Yo creo que pues los dos primeros pues fue bien claro, pues el primer round para uno, el segundo para otro, y el tercer round fue bastante competitivo, ¿no? Pienso que llevó una pequeña ventaja Lerone Murphy porque en el tercer round pues bueno, pudo hacer daño, ¿no? Aunque Danny tuvo un poco más de control, pero yo creo que hizo un poquito más de daño Lerone Murphy.
It was a very close fight, especially in the third round. You know, obviously one won the first round, the second won the second, but the third, Ige controlled more, but Murphy did a lot more damage, and I think that's why they give it to him.
As you know, the UFC is going to Mexico City in February. If the idea of fighting Volk in Sydney also in February doesn't pan out, do you think that they will ask you to fight on that card against another contender? And if so, what will be your response?
Como tú sabes, también UFC va a ir a Ciudad de México en febrero. Si no te dan la pelea con Volkanovski en Sydney, Australia, y te ofrecen a otro contrincante en febrero de Ciudad de México, ¿tú qué pensarías de eso?
Pues la verdad ahorita nosotros estamos enfocados, estamos buscando la pelea pues con Volkanovski, ¿no? Pues en febrero en Sydney, en Australia. Yo creo que es la pelea que tiene sentido para nosotros, es la pelea que nos va a asegurar cerca del título, ¿no? Ya si UFC nos llega con una propuesta para otro contrincante, pues tengo que sentar con mi manager y platicar y ver cuáles son los mejores pasos que podemos tomar.
Obviously, we feel that the fight with Volkanovski makes the most sense for us. You know, it gets us on that title shot track. But if UFC was to give us another offer in Mexico City, we'd have to talk, you know, as a team with the management and see what the options are here.
Yeah, there aren't a ton of great ones. Is there anyone else that comes to mind that is of interest to you? And I'm not trying to steer you away from Alex, but I'm just curious if it does kind of pan out this way, is there anyone else of interest?
Obviamente casi no hay muchas opciones ahorita, pero si no te dan a Volkanovski, ¿tienes algún nombre con interés que quieres pelear?
No, la verdad que por el momento pues no tengo interés en nada. Yo creo que he hecho un gran año. De cuando llegué a UFC pues he hecho un gran trabajo. Estoy en una buena posición ahorita. Si no me dan a Volkanovski, pues quiero pues sentarme y a platicar con el manager pues a ver cuál es el siguiente paso. O sea, va a depender de muchas cosas, ¿no? Si UFC dice que nos sentamos a esperar por una pelea por el título, nos sentamos a esperar una pelea por el título, ¿no? Pero si nos da Volkanovski, pues aceptamos a Volkanovski también, que es la pelea que queremos.
Because I'm not really interested in fighting anybody but Volkanovski right now. It makes the most sense for us. If UFC says we have to wait around for a title shot, then we'll wait. If they say we fight for the interim with Volkanovski, then we fight for Volkanovski. But again, that's a conversation to have with management and see what our options really are there.
Okay. And final thing for you, Diego, as the year is wrapping up, you have been competing since 2012, so 12 years as a pro. Here you are, you finished the year 3-0 in the UFC, and really, 3 wins, when was it? April, June, September, that's in the span of 5 months, which is incredible. Plus you weigh in, backup fighter for a title fight. Would it be fair to say that this is the best year of your MMA career so far?
Eres profesional en esta carrera desde 2012. Este año en UFC tienes una carrera increíble. ¿Dirías tú que este año sería el mejor año de tu carrera profesional?
Definitivamente, ¿no? Pude hacer 3 peleas en 3 grandes eventos. Pude ganar mis 3 peleas contra 3 peleadores rankeados, ¿no? Yo no estar rankeado este año a ser número 3 del mundo y a ser considerado el backup de una pelea por título. Yo creo que definitivamente ha sido mi mejor año como deportista.
I fought 3 times this year. I've won every one of my fights. I've beat all the ranked fighters. I'm now number 3 in the world. I weighed in as a backup. Yes, I would say this is the best year for my career.
Amazing. Well, parabéns. Felicidades.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing year for you, my friend. Well done. And can't wait to see what you do in 2025. So congratulations on all the great success. And thank you very much. Muchas gracias for coming on the show today. It's always great to talk to you.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for the space for the talk a little bit. Yeah. See you soon.
Okay, there he is, Diego Lopes, one of the top contenders at 145 pounds. Thank you very much to Edgar as well. And he is right there. Who would have thought when this young man took a super short notice opportunity against Movsar Evloev just a little over a year and a half or so ago, lost that fight, hasn't lost since. Gavin Tucker, Pat Sabatini, Sadiq Youssef, Dan Ige, Brian Ortega, those 2 fights in 2023, Tucker and Sabatini were like, all right, this guy is something. But then he comes back this year on 300, on 303, and on the Sphere card. Look at those cards. Look at those cards that the UFC put him on. 300, 303, the McGregor card, and the Sphere card. They are behind this guy. How could you not be? He always delivers. He's a lot of fun. He's got the Brazilian fan base behind him, the Mexican fan base behind him, and he's right there. The idea to fight Alex Volkanovski in February, I was thinking about it like, man, we didn't ask Alex about this scenario because I didn't really see it being a scenario, but knowing Alex and knowing how he gets the itchy knuckles, and it will be a year since he's been out by the time this fight happens, I don't think it's the craziest thing. Now, that same month is Mexico City, so I do wonder if that doesn't pan out, if they're going to say, all right, we want you on this one. I mean, he would be the perfect guy among many others to fight on that card. So just an impressive dude, and it really does feel like 2025 could be his year. When he beat Brian Ortega in September, I said, we did the post show at the hotel in Vegas. I said Volk would be great. Now, Topuria fight played out and Volk goes in there, and I'm totally okay with Volk, but that's a fight I would love to see. Him versus Volk, him versus Topuria are 2 fantastic fights, and I feel like there's a chance we see at least one of them in 2025. That would be great for him, and he seems to be right there. Also, another guy who's pretty young, 29. He's been doing this for a while, 12 years, but he's just 29 years old. So Shout out to Diego Lopes. All right, let's go to our next guest. He is the reigning defending UFC flyweight champion. We found out very recently that he will be returning to action on December 7th in Las Vegas. 2 title fights on the final pay-per-view of the year for the UFC. The main event is Shavkat Rakhmonov challenging the welterweight champion Belal Muhammad. The co-main event is UFC debutant Kai Asakura coming over from Japan to fight in his very first UFC fight for gold, for 125-pound gold against the champion of the flyweight division, the one and only Alexandre Pantoja. He is kind enough to join us right now. Hello, my friend. Obrigado. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Ariel. Awesome talk to you. And last week's for the fight, my campaign's on fire. I'm super happy with that fight. Kai Asakura is an amazing name. Let's go.
Okay, so let us talk about it. By the way, did you cut your hair? Is your hair shorter than usual? Did something change?
Just want to don't want to take care about my hair all the time. So I'm just shaving and let's go.
It's easy, yes.
Yeah.
When you were offered Kai Asakura for your first title defense, your next title defense, not your first, excuse me. What was your reaction? What was your immediate reaction when the UFC called you or your team and said, we want you to fight Kai Asakura?
That's an amazing name. I'm super happy with that. I want to be famous in Japan, and that's perfect for me. I have a huge respect for Japanese culture. I'm starting my discipline Jiu-Jitsu. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu have this philosophy from Japan, respect everybody. You need a salute the match when you go in or when you go out. You need say sorry for your master. I need to go to the bathroom, something like that. So a lot of huge respect for how the culture and everybody bring that for life. We have a Kyoji Riguchi in my gym. And he's so good, my best partner, training partner, and that's making me feel like this is gonna be a very good challenger, One Japanese like Kai Asakura, very strong, very fast, and that's nice because I tell you that before. That's a crossover, That's why every UFC fan want to watch, If your UFC is so good like that, you bring some champion from another company and fight with the champion, with me in this case, And Kai Asakura is a very good athlete, He has so many fights. He fights with a lot of guys, Kyoji Riguchi, Manel Cap, Juan
Archuleta, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm super excited for that fight. This is something different, because if you take the top 5 in UFC, it's a different game. It's in UFC right now in the top 5. I think I have more grapplers, like a Royval, Moreno, Albazi, and now you bring someone with amazing striking skills, a very good knee, elbows. Some kicks. It's totally different with with what I looking for my division. It's making me very excited for that fight too. Someone I can fight, prove my striking too. Just grappler, but it's someone I think I have of course I have a better grappler. I can use that in the fight too. I can mix it up.
And it sounds like you knew of him, but just to make sure, were you familiar with who he was? Have you seen him before? Before you were offered Kai Asakura, is this someone that you were familiar with, that you've watched before?
I really don't know. I just know because he fights with Kyoji Riguchi. He's my training partner, one of the best. And he knocked out Kyoji, and that making me feel like give him some respect for him, And then I watched the fight, Kai Asakura and Kyoji, and I don't see too much, I see more like a lucky punch in Kyoji. And then in the second fight, Kyoji killed that guy, make it look like an easy fight, Kyoji is so good. He's a high-level fighter. And then make me feel like I need to take care about that guy too. Asakura is tough challenger, the tough opponent for me. But I really don't see a lot about rising the Japanese fighters. I know it's very good promotion. This guy's is something. He's like a he did that before in the Saitama Arena. I know that's like a temple for every fighter. If you fight in Saitama Arena, you can fight in all the world. You know that there's no problem. But of course, maybe he feels something different when he go to the octagon in UFC. You know, I won't prove that for him.
There were some people who were surprised that someone making their UFC debut was getting a title shot, and there were some fighters in your weight class who were a little bit upset. Kai France saying they got the wrong Kai. He should be the next one. Do you understand where these people are coming from?
100%. I'm agree with Kai. He's a wonderful fighter. He last fight with Erchag. It's a beautiful fight, you know. And that Kai Kara France have this weapon, you know, this strong hand, strong overhooks. And I know if some punch can beat Erchag, is Kai Kara France with that one, you know. But you know, he come for 2 losses after that fight. You know, he lose to Moreno and Albazi, and of course he's sad about that. But this fight makes sense. You know, I think he can cry a little bit about that. You know, but he need to fight again. Rival come for 2 fights, two good victories. He beat Moreno. He beat Taira, one of the best contenders right now, but very good fighter. That's something I want to say. What a beautiful moment the flyweight division have right now. You know, we did a lot of main events. We did a lot of good fights. You know, I'm very happy with that division. All flyweights put the show on. You know, Matheus Nicolau with I forget the name, Asu, the guy from Kazakhstan. Amazing fight too. We have a lot of good names, you know, and Kai Asakura is one of the good names now too. After he fight with me, of course, I want the victory. I want to keep the belt, one more belt for me. And Kai Asakura can fight with a lot of guys too. You know, there's a very good name for all division. You know, I think everybody want to fight with that guy too. Different guy, Japanese, different game, and especially because he come from the another division, another promotion. You know, that's good. Like that's a fresh blood for us. You know, everybody want to take some peace. You know, yeah, I'm happy because I'm gonna make his debut. You know, this happened with me before with Manel Cape. When Manel Cape come for UFC, I'm the rank number 5, and I'm accept the fight. You know, with some guy with UFC bringing for another promotion. It's not a problem for me. I'm super happy. I'm here in that position right now, like a champ, because I'm fighting to everybody. You know, I never say no for one fight. That's why I'm fighting for UFC. I want to challenge myself all the time. I want to fight with the best fighters of the world. I'm so happy for that. You know, UFC do this amazing show, the best show for MMA fights in the world, and I'm a big star. I will fight December with my name is in the banner. Everybody go to the arena, watch that fight. Everybody's super excited for that challenger. The Japanese come for UFC. Maybe he can be the champ. I'm happy. I'm happy, very happy for the fight. And what's happening? My coach Parrupinha say for me, you need you need to relax. You need like more months to recover your body. You make 3 fights in 10 months. That's too much. You need to relax. And now I understand that's a very good, very good playing. You know, because now I'm feel super fresh. I'm feel super happy. I'm feel super ready for fight December. You know, I make an amazing camp. Because I say that because I don't feel I make it like my 100% fight when I go to Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. You know, I'm fight very well, but I think I'm 70%. You know, and now I can put all my game together and finish the fight. That's what I want. I want to finish the fight, wherever, submission, nearly choke, knockout. I go to the finish the fight.
By the way, your run against Tatsuro Taira just a couple of weeks ago was amazing. Were you surprised that Royval beat Taira? Taira was undefeated. You, of course, have fought Royval in the past. You beat him. I'm wondering if you were surprised by the result and how the fight went.
You know, I tell to my wife, now I think the Japanese can beat Taira. And she say, no, maybe Royval can beat that guy. And she's always right. My wife is always right. And that's happened. Royval beats the guy. I'm not surprised with that fight. You know, Royval is very talented, and he did amazing job. You know, and I think in that case, you can see some points which Taira don't have a good game, like a striking. You know, I see a lot of holes in his game, and everybody in the division can see that. You know, a lot of some holes. He's amazing grappler. Everybody know that, but he need to work more in striking, you know. And that's what's happening, you know. When you take some good fights and high level fights, you can see that there's breaking points, you know. And that's amazing for me. Now that's happening with Chag right now with Kai France. You know, he go too fast for the title, and but now he having some challenges. I want everybody fight with everyone, you know. It's not too easy to come for fight for the belt, you know. But of course, Royval have his chance. Maybe he fight again with Kai France or Albazi, because we have now Moreno and Albazi. But that fight, you know.
Yeah. What about that fight? That's this weekend in
yeah.
Edmonton. What a fight that is. Brandon Moreno against Amir Albazi, the main event. You know, obviously, about Moreno too. What do you think of that one?
That's the time to see Albazi, you know, see some holes in his game, you know. I don't know. It's a tough fight, you know, because Albazi is super strong, but Moreno have good grappler too, you know, and his boxing is much better. Ours is better boxing, Moreno, you know. And I think this time, he last fight in February, I think his breaking is good for him, you know, relax. This happened for me too, you know, not just for the fighter, not just for me or for Moreno, but for family too, you know. This break I have time with my kids, with my wife, in the house. Nobody think about fight all the time. And this happened with Moreno. I think that's a very good decision. Take a break and now back with everything, you know. It's gonna be very interesting fight. I don't know. Albazi have good grappler. Maybe this game can beat Moreno, you know, very strong, very intensity. But let's see how the former champion is gonna be.
Yeah, it's been about 8 months since we last saw Brandon Moreno. So let's see how the layoff helps him, if it's a benefit or not. For you, just, you know, life now as champion. Are you feeling a difference? Do you feel a difference in the way your life is, the way people treat you, the opportunities that are coming your way, especially after you won in Rio? Is it settling in, you know, how good it is to be a UFC champion?
Yeah, you know me, man. I'm the same guy. You know, people can treat me different, but I'm the same one. I'm the same guy, you know. I know who is real and who is faking, who gonna stay with me when I lose, and who with me just now, you know, because I'm the champ, you know. But I know what the people I have on my side is very important for me. Of course, more interviews, more, and of course, better house, better car is very good too. But I'm super happy when I have a small house too, you know, and not a fancy car. But what's more important for me, it's me, my family. When I lock my door, still with my family, everything, you know. Of course, money helping me to get more time with my family, you know, because I can pay some people to do my job, with like a clean the house, something like that, you know. That's what about get more money. I can pay my time, you know. I can pay my time back. But of course, when I get the position, the champ, I lose a lot of time with my family too. You know, it's a lot of responsibility, you know. And someone need to pay for that. I'm not playing. When I go to the fight, I want to put everything together. Because right now, what I think is like I'm training too much. I'm super tired, and when I have free time, I want to rest. But my kids have play soccer all the time, and they have games on the weekends.
Mm.
And something I love in my life is go watching my kids. And if you play soccer with something that's an opportunity for me. Seeing my child grow up. And I lost a lot of moments like that. Right now because I'm training too much, and that's about the responsibility. That's why my life changed. I need to focus in the game. I have a belt to conquer one more time, and I have a big show to everyone. I make something very special for that moment for December 7th.
By the way, how old are your kids right now?
My old one have 13 and teenagers crazy.
I bet.
And,
yes.
Yeah, and my younger one have 10. He's and in the house he's like a hurricane. And the outside he's like a child, like a super shiny. But that's crazy. Inside he's like a don't stop at any time. And I'm super happy. I'm super happy with that life. Very opportunity for me, for my family. But like I told you, 2 years ago I'm in a small apartment because that's like when I come to US for bringing my family, I buy a small apartment, and in this apartment I have one of the best moments in my life with my family. And nothing changed. I want to keep that. I want to keep that in my mind. That's the best thing. Family. That's me.
I have a son who's 12 and 10 as well, and they both play soccer, and there's nothing that I enjoy more than watching them play on the weekend. Going to the games and seeing them be 10 times the athlete that I ever was. It's so much fun. Do they have interest in being a fighter too, or is it just football for them?
A different life, Ariel. My life is so tough, I say all the time for my kids, hey, if you want a fighter, you want to be a fighter, I'm enjoying. It's gonna be super easy. Maybe you make it 2-3 fights and go to UFC, make money, you're a star right now. But I don't know if my kids agree with that. Let's see. He's super young right now. Whatever he wants to do it, I'm with him. I just want to see my kids go to the college. It's something like it's gonna be very special for me. I try to do that. Me and my wife. That's the big point in my life, take care of my kids, see him grow up, try to be a good, great father. That's my plans, I want the belt because that's a consequence about my life, about my choice, about what I want, It's something, of course, every fight choose that belt, but this is happening for me because I make a good choice. I take care about the people I love and love me, and that's happy. Now I'm a champion of the world.
So it sounds like you would prefer them not to go down the fight game route, right?
What?
It sounds like you would prefer that they didn't even think about fighting. Like you had to do this maybe when you were younger, but you want to give them a better life than being a fighter. Is that
my kids?
Yeah.
No, yeah. He have this opportunity, but my kids I have a very hustle life, That's why when I go to the octagon, I have something different about my opponents, Of course, amazing athletes, amazing people there. Everybody have a history, I have my history, and I tell them that I thinking about that. My life is at the Big Bang, when the Big Bang happened, because a lot of things, small things happen for that moment, and that's what's happening in my life. A lot of small moments happen for this big bang, happen, about my father. I talked to you before about that, and why I say that, because when my father leave, my mom, I have now a stepfather, and this guy bringing me to the jiu-jitsu. And because this guy bringing me to Arraial do Cabo, it's my town, when I found my master, my first master, and then I found my love, my wife, everything have a connection, My father go, this guy's coming, I go to Arraial do Cabo, and everything changed,
And you've talked to us about your father in the past, like you just mentioned. I'm just wondering, has anything changed at all with the relationship? Do you ever hear from him? Do you ever get a message from him?
Yeah, I sent we sent a couple message for I sent some message for him. He sent a message for me, but like I don't want to rush or like put something like let's see, the real life. That's a real life, not like show, but.
Yeah,
I think when I have more time, maybe when I retire the belt, like stop a little bit, I can go and talk to my father, like when everything is like it's done or not, Let's see the real life's happen.
Okay. And obviously wish you guys the best with that, without a doubt. And I appreciate when you speak about it whenever you do. By the way, new house, congratulations. Did this happen since the fight at 301?
Yeah, the kids need space, the kids need space. My dog needs space. My wife likes to cooking. I gave him a big kitchen and
nice.
then I enjoy all of that, but that's it, great opportunities coming. Champion of the world, like I say to you, fancy car, but the more important thing for my life is like be humble. I'm not special. Nobody's special in this world. Like everybody's the same. I think it's like in this case, like you like how I gonna say that in English, but it's always connection. Something like right now, I talk to you. You give me a good energy. I give to you energy good back. We talk about the kids, and this is something we wanna when the cameras go off. You can think about you share the words about share with everybody. Like something like that. I give to you something special. You give me something special, and when the words start rolling, we're gonna figure out why that.
I love your perspective on things, and I love how humble you remain. Even though you've been champion now for a year and a half, 3-0 in UFC title fights, you seem like the exact same guy that we first met. So kudos to you. And I'm sure there are a lot of people coming to you with different things, but it sounds like you stay very grounded. Are there ever moments where you find that you're starting to get big eyes or your head's getting big? And is there someone, maybe your wife, maybe your coaches, that are telling you, no, you can't fall for this trap?
That's good. That's something good. I don't how I'm gonna say that in English, but that's a good history. I don't know if that's true, but like the Empire of Caesar.
Yeah.
The big guy, like everybody like say he's a god. He's a god. You like treat you like a god, but one guy in the shoulder say for him all the time, "You just a man. You just a man. You just a man." For you remember, you're just a man. Everybody's the same. Like the different thing is your choice. Your future is about your choice. I have my choice. Some sacrifice in the way, but that's it. That's me. That's who I am, and I'm not gonna change, Ariel. Like a lot of people say a lot about that. People want to see me like a thief my brush in the Instagram, but it's not me. I'm the real guy. I want to be a real for life.
Respect. Last thing for you. Do you ever think about Demetrius Johnson? I know he's far away.
I want to fight with Demetrius Johnson all the time.
You do want? I wasn't even talking about. I was talking about his records.
If I can train with him, it's gonna be very special for me. Something like that. Because I train with Kyoji Gucci.
Yeah.
For me, one of the best fighter of the world. I train with Adriano Moraes. I train with Henry Cejudo. And I miss Demetrius Johnson. That's something that this guy is somebody we like help every fight for flyweight. We see I've seen Demetrius for all my life. And but of course I respect him. I respect his time. But if maybe I can train with him, it's gonna be very special. I respect him a lot. I don't try to I'm never gonna try to compare myself because he's a big star. Of course, he fought in UFC a long time ago, different opponents and blah blah blah. Right now, it's much. I think it's very difficult right now, but still champ. Like you have various challenges. Internet bring everybody together. If you see someone go in China, you bring this guy. If you see someone good in Japan, you bring that guy. Everything goes super fast. But of course, again, the matches, the GOAT, I respect him. I learned with him, and just respect.
Yeah, he just retired, so unfortunately, I don't think he's going to fight again. But that would be incredible. What I was referring to was, do you think about his records, and does that motivate you? Would you like to, obviously, I'm sure you want to get to a point where you're breaking his records. But do you think about his records, his title defenses? Is that something that's on your mind, or you're still a little ways away?
No. I just think about the next fight.
Okay.
The records, the all that is about you. Ariel, the journalist, it's not my work's fighting.
Fair enough.
Go to the gym every day, very hustle, and that's it. December 7th, that day of my show, that the date.
Yes.
Everybody want to watch? Let's go.
How do you win on December 7th?
With a lot of power, with a lot of hustle, with a lot of work, hard work. I make a lot of hard work in the gym right now. I just sparring this morning, 6 rounds, very tough, I was
wondering,
tired,
I saw your face a little marked up. Is that from sparring?
Yeah, it's not too much, I take care a lot.
Yes,
I don't want to receive a lot of punch, I move more my head.
That's good.
Yeah, the hater specialists talking about that, I try to list these guys. But yeah, I train a lot, Ariel, I want to win. When you go to fight, it's 50-50. I'm not like crazy. I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to finish the guy. I'm going to beat him. That's fight, I'm not stupid. I know sometimes I need to sell more. I need to say, hey, I'm going to eat Japanese food because I'm the cannibal. This sounds very good too, but I that's about like art of the war, I'm not stupid, I know what I did, what I do it. I'm not going to give a chance to my opponent. He's something with going to put some fire for him. I'm not going to give him that, the art of the war. That's it, man. I'm the warrior, and I love to fight. And December 7th, T-Mobile Arena, my Coliseo is my arena, bro.
I love it. Well, it's always fun watching you fight. All your performances in the UFC have been spectacular. The last the title fights have been incredible. And this is a very fun one. A lot of interest because he's making his debut, and it's very rare to see someone make their debut in a UFC title fight. So let's see if he backs that up. He's very popular in Japan, so I'm sure there's going to be a huge amount of attention on this fight, and we are all very much looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Alexandre. I really appreciate it, my friend, and good luck to you in training, and of course, good luck on December 7th.
Thank you, Ariel. Enjoy your games with your kids.
Thank you.
Let's go. See you next.
Same to you, my friend. All the best. There he is, Alexandre Pantoja, the reigning, defending UFC flyweight champion. 2 title defenses, so still a bit of a ways to go before we get to Demetrius Johnson territory. 3-0 in title fights, of course, coming off that win over Steve Erceg back in May in Rio. And I understand where Kai France is coming from. Again, very, very rare that a debutant gets a UFC title fight, but Asakura is on a little bit of a run and quite popular. I believe he has a very popular YouTube page, last I checked, right? Doesn't he have like, he has something. I saw something where he has like a few.
Well, the video that he made announcing that he was coming got like 500,000 views.
Yeah. Is it on a YouTube page?
Yeah. Obviously all in Japanese.
Yeah, he's very popular.
Kai channel.
Yeah,
1.36 million subscribers.
For real? Oh, here it is. Yeah. Wow. Look at that.
He has one video from 5 years ago that has 24 million
Yes.
views.
What the
Yeah, he's definitely pretty popular.
MMA fighter confronts cigarette butts litterers in Kabuki-cho. Yeah, by the way, solid production value here. Yeah, 11 days ago, 289. The announcement video, 482, 194, 384, 534, 413, 280. I mean, he's a big deal. So a shot in the arm. Now, you could make the case, maybe you get him a few fights, build him up even bigger, and then he fights for the belt. But, no right answer at the time where they made this fight. Now, certainly, Royval in the mix after the win over Tyra, and perhaps they thought Tyra was going to win. And then the winner of this weekend's fight, Albazi Moreno, which is a great fight on a great card, by the way, a card that's really flying under the radar, would definitely be in the mix as well. And I know that Albazi has been champing at the bit to get this opportunity.
Love it.
I really like this card, guys. No one's really talking about it. Can I be honest? I usually on Sunday look at the schedule and say, okay, what's next? I was like, oh shit, the Edmonton card's next.
This feels like a Canadian bias.
Yeah, the top 4 fighters on the card are not Canadian. It is not quite the love letter to Canada that the Noche UFC card was. Hello, Pete. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Didn't the Asakura brothers, didn't they star in some like The Outsider or something? Like it's kind of like a YouTube thing, which kind of bolstered their popularity significantly, like while they were in Deep and everything like that. I can remember reading a story by someone about this. Does that ring any bells?
Possible.
Rick, I thought you'd be all over this.
This feels like a crack segment, tailor-made. Week of the fight.
It could well be. I tried to dig very quickly as you were rooting around your brain there. But yeah, I'm terrified as I sit here now because I know what's going to happen next. And I deserve all the
No.
criticism that's
Listen,
about to come my
what's
way.
going to happen next is me complimenting your beard. Your beard has never looked better. I mean, it is fantastic. It is really coming in now.
Well,
you've been holding
as
this. You've been holding this back from all of us.
I want to get rid of it now, though.
No,
because people are used to it.
Big
Maybe
mistake.
I'll be like Chito, like constantly change, like go for Tash next.
No.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
Just a little fanny tickler.
It's quite thick. It's like it's one like mine doesn't.
What the fuck is that?
No, Francis. I disagree. I disagree. In fact, I would lean more towards Darren Till than Francis on this one.
Well, oh Frank, that's awful, mate.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
We don't care.
What about this weekend? You're talking about this weekend. What about the return of Jack Shore?
Listen, and that's a nice plug. I believe you'll be talking about that on the Crack on Friday. Yes.
We're rooting things around. Yeah,
Okay,
well, definitely.
sure.
We're let's not.
Pedo?
Let's not. Sorry.
Is he the pedo? The pizza dog of the week?
I don't
It's like a
know.
plus
Like
210 or
that sounds a
something.
lot like something else, and I was very worried there for a second.
No.
But,
What's going on? I don't know. Oh, a pedo.
Yeah.
Yes. No, it's
What the fuck is that?
yeah. What is? I see that one is right. Moreno, Albazi, tremendous. Rose and Aaron Blanchfield, very important fight at 125. Where have you gone, Manon Fiorot? I feel like she's just kind of been forgotten about. She should probably be next at 125 pounds. Derek Lewis is on the card. Did anyone remember this? Derek Lewis fighting Jonta Denise.
Yeah.
Shout out to-
undefeated.
yeah.
Great fight. Derek Lewis looking to take his O.
And then we get into the Canadians. I mean, we got to go 4 fights down before we get to the Canadians. But then we get into them hot and heavy. Marc-André Barriot, the Pride of Quebec. Mike Malott is on this card going up against Trevin Giles. He's actually going to be on the program tomorrow. Looking forward to talking to him. Remember, he suffered that loss in his last fight against Neil Magny. And, he was on quite the run. Everyone thought he might be the next big thing. He was the face of Canadian MMA. That was back in January. So he's taken almost a year off. So I'm looking forward to talking to him and seeing how he looks in the fight. Ayman Zahabi on the card as well. Jasmine.
Jazz Division.
No, what's going on?
I moved things
Frank,
around.
you're all over the guy.
Frank, what is going on? What's happening? Is everything okay?
What the fuck is going on, bro?
Yeah, those are working, sort of, but it's just been...
That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah. No, the first Darren Till one would be perfect for this scenario. I think you forgot.
Everyone stop chatting shit.
That would be the perfect one. Anyway, we continue. There's a whole bunch of Canadians. Jamie Lynn Horth, Jasmine, like I said. So I think it's a great card. I like this card a lot. Under the radar. A rare fight night on the road.
It's a solid card, man.
Yeah, no one's really giving me much here.
Jazz
All right.
Division.
You were buzzing about it, man. You're a lot more hopped up than the rest of us.
Maybe
to
it's
be
the
fair.
Canadian thing. Maybe it's the Canadian.
I think it's a little bit of Canadian bias.
Have you ever noticed that your Canadian flag's a little bit larger than the American flag?
No, that's actually wrong. I changed the flags because one was... I don't remember it always being this bigger.
I think it's slowly been getting bigger with time.
No, I think
Then
something
you have to
happened.
prune it to make it small again.
I think something happened actually in the move. So I bought another one. I actually bought 2. My daughter claims to have seen the second one. I still haven't found it. But I moved the other one back there. You could see it right over there. It's right over there. You can see it right next to
Yeah,
GSP.
it's eclipsing everything else.
But then I had to replace this one to make it the same size, and I think I nailed it. Except it's a different texture, which annoys me. This one is a lot more flag-like.
Yeah, like look at the pole.
This one's cheap. This one's cheap.
Smooth. Yeah.
Get what you pay for, man.
Yeah.
Made in Canada, it says.
The one on the left, yeah, probably.
Oh my god.
I hope so. Golly, could you imagine a flag not being made in its home country? You guys vote yet?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you voted yet?
No, I told you I'm not voting.
Oh, wow.
That's fucking bullshit.
Glad you decided to become a citizen.
Yeah, I know. All that work.
All that work.
Yeah,
I
all
vouched for
exercise
you.
your biggest power as a citizen.
Is
a
that my
reference
biggest
for you.
power? I mean, I would say paying taxes is probably even bigger than that.
Is that a power?
That's a duty.
Sure, I guess.
Responsibility.
I mean, can I trade? I'll tell you what. If I can bypass taxes for a year, and vote, would that be a fair trade?
You give up your vote so that you can.
You
bypass
pay your
that.
taxes,
Basically.
so you can vote.
Oh yeah.
Man. I did have a great time at MSG on Sunday. I thought that was a great time.
Oh my god.
No, I'm just joking.
What the fuck is that?
By the way, don't put me full screen when I make a joke like that. I need the reaction. I can't just be here alone.
We need the clip.
Oh my God.
This one's going off the rails a little bit here.
Yeah, you know, it's Tuesday. We like to have fun. We like to have fun on Tuesdays. We do have some breaking news. Yeah. Shades of UFC 197. Remember when John Jones was getting ready to fight Ovince St. Preux? Not as dramatic, not as much distraction, but we did find out today, and this is courtesy of our friends at MMA Fighting, that John Jones has reached a pre-adjudication agreement to dismiss the charges in his case involving a drug testing agent who filed assault charges against the UFC heavyweight champion back in March. On Tuesday, Judge Asra Elliott approved an agreement between the arresting officer and Jones that as long as he avoids any trouble for the next 90 days and undergoes 4 hours of anger management, that the 2 pending misdemeanor charges against him will be dismissed. Jones appeared at the hearing via Zoom alongside his attorney, Christopher Dodd. The judge approved the agreement, with Jones's attorney agreeing to appear after 90 days to confirm his clearance from all charges. Quote, as long as Mr. Jones is compliant for the next 90 days, then I can dismiss this case. So he's got to do anger management. It might be, that's not the same thing that Arman Tsarukyan agreed to do, right?
No, that was a anti-bullying PSA.
Yes, I'm still looking forward to that one coming out.
Can't wait.
Yeah, that was.
Is he still doing it? I thought it was something about like when he was going to fight.
No, I think
he was going to fight by October.
He said he's still going to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
According to his manager, Danny Rubenstein, here's a tweet from John Jones. I would like to extend my thanks to the justice system for reaching a prompt resolution in this matter, which affirms my innocence and enables me to maintain my focus on the upcoming fight. I'm eagerly anticipating the opportunity to defend my heavyweight title on November 16th at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. I added that part at the end, but it felt right.
You were workshopping it.
You know what's weird? If you type in X John Jones or Twitter John Jones, it takes you back to when, I don't know, like when Twitter turned into X. It's like a time capsule. You guys ever do this? You ever like quickly search someone's Twitter page and then you type in like Twitter? Like if I type in right now, Twitter.
When have we had time to do that?
I do it all the time quickly when I'm searching for something. Twitter Ariel Helwani. I click on it. The top tweet is unfortunately the tweet.
Bad example.
Well, it's the tweet announcing that Rumble Johnson had died, but from November of 2022. It's bizarre.
That is bizarre, and that's sad.
No, that's not happening for me.
What is that?
How much engagement did you have on that one? I've had it where like I go to people's accounts and it's like their most liked tweets in order.
Oh, you know what? Oh, is that what this is? Because the next one is 2023. Is that what this is?
And how much engagement are you getting on them?
On the top one, the Rumble Johnson one is 86K likes. The next one is Francis 62K. The next one is Nate 59K. I mean, these are just kind of like
So that makes sense.
another day in the life. The next one is MVG 57. Oh, is that what it is?
In that order.
I think
Solved.
Nice. Oh my God. I thought it was a time capsule.
No. How do you see this? Do you have to log out of your account?
No.
It's tough.
I don't know. I'm not logged in. Oh, it says I might like Dana White. Let's see what's going on here.
So it's just if you're not logged in.
I can
Are
see
you on
Dana's
your burner
tweets.
account?
Let's see.
No, I don't have burner. Oh, his number one tweet, 214K. It's the Mike Tyson one on the plane. Oh, this is actually kind of interesting. It's the top tweets.
I'm trying to see mine.
Wow. By the way, did you guys see that now you can see if someone blocks you, you could still see their tweets?
Yes.
Oh, great.
It's amazing.
You can't interact, but you can still see them now. You are not prohibited from the information.
I can finally, for the first time since 2014, see Dana White's tweets. It's amazing. All the exclamation points.
There are a lot of them.
You can get Fuck Fridays too.
What a gift. Amazing. I typed in X Peter Carroll, and what threw me off was that this tweet only has 7 likes. So I didn't know it was a top thing, but I guess that's your highest.
That's my regular.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we get. There's only so many pictures of your dog you can put up.
Sure.
Shout out.
What about you, Connor? Connor probably has a banger.
I got one with 52K.
Wow, must be nice.
52K, 33K. I mean, UFC 300 week, I was on fire. 30K, 29K.
We don't care.
I mean, it's just, like you said, another day in the office.
Yes. That was it.
Frank, you were slipping on when Ariel was calling for him, but you're on fire right now.
What's the point of me doing them if he just calls them?
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
You're right. I actually am in agreement with Frank here.
Off the cuff.
Okay, sometimes
you can't just read your mind.
You got your Yahoo button. You stick with that.
Oh, no.
No.
Okay.
Oh, actually, it's not that loud.
No, it's pretty far away. It's funny you say that because when I saw that clip yesterday, when Spencer cut it for me, I was like, oh my gosh, we don't care. Ooh. It was tailor made for this.
It was on fire yesterday.
Yeah. Speaking of on fire, how about our good friends over at uncrowned.com and the work that they're doing? I mean, the whole team there, led by the great Shaheen Al-Shadi, who, of course, was on the program yesterday, but everyone from Drake to Darshan to Keith to Penn Shamrock with a fantastic recap of Raw last night. I hope you all check that out as well. Obviously, Chuck and Ben and PT doing phenomenal work, dusting off the old pen or pencil. Cam and everyone else. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. I probably am. Everyone doing phenomenal work. But there I am yesterday, scrolling through my favorite new website, your new home of all things combat sports, uncrowned.com, and I see, what do I see? I see our brand new pound-for-pound rankings. Now, you'll recall a couple of weeks ago, we unveiled our pound-for-pound pro wrestling rankings, and everyone was all at Twitter. The blogosphere was going insane. Everyone was very mad. They didn't quite understand the concept, and so I was curious to see what the reception would be to our pound-for-pound rankings. Much to my surprise, it was actually quite positive. The only one who really hated them was me. I mean, these were questionable at best. Now, I'm not going to be the guy to sit here and say like, oh, no. If you don't agree with my rankings, you can't have the rankings showcased on our website. But I did want to sort of like parse through them and find out what the thought process was, if possible.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what you found so disagreeable.
Yeah, let's do it. I am very curious.
Lunacy.
Lunacy is the word.
Lunacy was the word.
No path to victory for Hamza.
PT, I could see the sweat just coming down PT's head. Squeaky bum
I actually
time.
changed mine. Joe, every time I do these, I have it written out, and before I send it, I go, do you know what? Fuck it. And I change it all around, and I send it. And I don't know why I do that. It's like, I was talking to Rick about this briefly. You can make an argument any way you want with these things. It's absolute fairy tale shit. But go ahead.
No, PT, what you don't understand is pound for pound has a very specific definition, and you can't veer away from
everybody has a different definition of it, though, right?
No. Frank chickened out.
I don't think you're allowed to speak
Frank
on this.
chickened out, man.
Helwani and Frank.
Yeah,
Everybody
stop chatting shit.
Yeah. By the way, that's a great point. Anyone who doesn't partake cannot speak on this. So, Frank, you need to sit this one out.
Next segment.
Yeah. In case you guys are wondering, it's Shaheen Al-Shadi who's a part of it, the great Connor Burks, which this excites me greatly, if I'm being honest. I actually love it. PT Carroll is involved. Ben Folks involved as well. New York Rick, Eric Jackman, Chuck Mendenhall, Drake Riggs, and I do believe that is it. For Rick and GC, first time taking part in something like this, yes?
I think I've probably voted at some point,
Yeah,
around like the ESPN era, but I don't know.
I think this is my first time doing a pound for pound rankings.
Did you enjoy the process?
Yep.
Already, by the way, it's infinitely more prestigious than the UFC rankings, just by virtue of the fact that we all have pulses and watch MMA. And
I'm going to start asking AI anyway. I'm going to start asking ChatGPT to do it for me.
Okay,
I'll give you 2018 rankings, though. I've tried it already.
That's right. You did on the air.
male rankings, we ended up with this. So again, everyone weighs in, and then by virtue of some sort of point system, this is how it all pans out.
This is the aggregate.
The aggregate, yes. Islam Makhachev 1, Alex Pereira 2, Ilia Topuria 3, Merab Dvalishvili 4, John Jones 5, Tom Aspinall 6, Francis Ngannou 7, Bilal Muhammad 8, Dricus Duplessis 9, 10, Khamzat Chimaev. So my thing is, like, I think it is so easy right now to pick the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, and I think it's Alex Pereira just because of the fact that he has been a champion in 2 different weight classes. Ultimately, my definition of pound for pound is if everyone was the same weight, who'd be the best fighter? But if someone actually shows you that they can have success 2 different weight classes, and a lot of people think he can have success in a 3rd weight class, how could it be any kind of discussion? That's why people are favoring, Jones right now. They're like, oh, look at him. He went up to heavyweight. Of course he has to be pound for pound, despite the fact that he's been so inactive, 1 fight in almost 5 years. That's the argument in favor of John Jones. Alex is actually doing it. And not that long ago, he was 185. Now he's 205. Let me just take a quick gander. I'm assuming at least one of you, I know it's an aggregate, picked Alex Pereira number 1. Just looking quickly here. Connor, okay, Islam. Alex 3, which PT, Alex 1, thank you.
Wow.
And Eric Jackman, Alex 3, Islam 1. How is this
counterpoint? Yeah, I mean, let me
go ahead, please.
So you've kind of got pound for pound right, at least in the origination of it. It is not like, can you go up in weight? It is, if everybody was the same size, the skill sets translated across the size, where would they be? So going up in weight by definition isn't proof of pound for pound status. It could be evidence to support it. But if I believe that Islam Makhachev could go up 3 divisions and capture belts and Alex Pereira can only go up 2, then by definition, Islam is actually ahead of him. I'm just saying that as like a thought example. That's not actually what I believe. But no, it doesn't really have bearing on it, going up and capturing a title. It proves that you can do it, but if I believe Islam could do it too, then it's the equivalent.
Pizza, your thoughts, because you and I agree.
I'm so angry with Rick. I can't believe you have him.
No.
Connor Burks, you're a disgrace. Oh!
Also,
look, I have Pereira because the way he's going about his business, unlike your guy, he's actually fighting guys in his weight class, Rick and GC. So yeah, no, I just think he is shit hot at the moment, and that's why I put him top of the pile. If everything's equal, I thought was an interesting comment, and I can't wait till we break down our discussion on the heavyweight situation based on that.
What do you mean?
Criteria.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm looking around these rankings and I'm seeing a lot of people with John Jones ahead of Tom Aspinall, but I mean, everything is equal there. They are all in the
greatest
same weight
and most
class.
well-rounded fighter of all time, John Jones. That one.
Yeah. I heard he fights every 4 years or so. Looking forward to his next one.
Just a few weeks away.
Everything is equal. Everything is equal when it comes to the heavyweight. So essentially, you're saying you'd pick John Jones over Tom Aspinall, which is fair. But that's what that reads to me.
It is important to note that the boys in the back, in particular, Rick and GC, are single-handedly keeping Francis below Jones and Aspinall.
Yeah.
1 second, let me.
Sure am.
A lot of it is about what you've
call Big
accomplished as well. And at this point, what John Jones
Will I
has
call
accomplished
Tom?
in his career, last time we saw him fight, what I think he's probably about to do against Stipe Miocic, I think he deserves to be in the top 5.
Well, you can't go based on what you think he's going to do because that,
Yeah, true.
That's.
You can though.
You can't rank based on results to come.
That's what pound for pound is.
No, it's not based on results. No. You can't say you think he's going to beat Stipe. That's why I'm preemptively putting him up there. If you say, I think John beats Alex in this fictitious world. Yeah, but this is a fight that's coming up in 2 weeks. That can't be part of the argument.
Of course it can.
Yeah, it actually can be anything.
I mean, I guess
these are fictitious rankings.
Yeah, that is true. That is fair. When you boil it down, it's what
John
makes
Jones
pound
is
for
one
pound.
of the greatest fighters of all time, and he's still competing at an elite level. He deserves to be
once
ranked
in
the
5
pound for
years.
pound rankings.
Oh, 100%. But we all agree now at number one.
No,
I don't
he's
think
not
he should
number
be
one.
number one, but I think the top three are easy to break down, and I think that's Ilya, Alex, and Islam in whatever order you want
I
to
have
put it
that.
in.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah, I think we all have that.
But I will say, like, I do agree with what GC is saying, because I'm speculating when I put Aspinall above Jones and Francis, because I think if they fought tomorrow, Tom would beat both of them. But like, I know you're kind of more looking at body of work, the fact that this guy was a light heavyweight champion. But are we not talking about right now who is the best pound for pound based on if they fought right now and everything was equal? That means Tom Aspinall would win in my system, because I think he would beat both John Jones and Francis Ngannou.
See, then it gets tough because, like, I think if Khamzat Chimaev were to go up to 205 because of his skill set and the way he plays against Alex Pereira, I think he would beat Alex Pereira, but I ranked him obviously under because of the things that Alex Pereira has been able to accomplish.
Okay, so this is good.
Yeah, no, I understand.
This is who you voted for and how. Islam 1, Ilya 2, Alex 3, Jones 4, Merab 5, Aspinall 6, Khamzat 7, DDP 8, Pantoja 9, Bilal Muhammad 10. I did notice, and I was going to actually bring this up, but I didn't want to, create a mutiny. Conspicuous by his absence in the top 10, the overall top 10 is the flyweight champion, Alexandre Pantoja. But you gave him that respect.
Yeah, I felt like he deserved to be in there. Like we just talked to him. Several title defenses adding up. Could get another great one here in December. I feel like a defending champion should be in the top 10.
New York Rick as well had him in his top 10. One man who did not was Ireland's own P.T. Carroll. Please explain.
Got to break a few eggs to make an omelette, lads. You know what I mean? This is rankings, baby. It's cutthroat. And I'm disgusted with Rick and GC again. I want to highlight. Oh, so annoyed, you guys. All right?
What can we do to make it better, PT? Well,
it's going to take a long time for me to get over this one.
PT's final rankings were number 1, Alex, number 2, Islam, number 3, Ilya. Have to say, love that. Love Aspinall at 4, Francis 5 over Jones 6. No problem with that. Merab, DDP, Bilal, and Khamzat. I have to say, other than the exclusion of Pantoja,
He was 11th.
Is he 11th?
He's 11th. He actually... No, I'm not even going to get into it. He was 11th.
Okay. You could make the case that, because he's champion, this and that, over Khamzat inactive, but you gave Khamzat the nod. I'm assuming prior to this weekend, you didn't have Khamzat as number 10 or in the top 10.
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. He got in there, fair play to him, just tiptoed over the line of that devastating, jaw-crushing performance over Robert Whittaker.
Oh, my gosh. What about that doctor that we had on, with that
He was
thing?
brilliant, but the graphics and all blew my mind.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Does he want to start hosting the crack?
We talked to him about it. By the way, speaking of New York Rick, Islam 1, Ilya 2, Alex 3, Khamzat 4, John Jones 5, DDP 6, Merab 7, Bilal 8, Aspinall 9, Pantoja 10. Aspinall
what
all
a
the
perfect list.
Aspinall so
neither
perfect.
Connor or Rick have Francis Ngannou in the top 10.
No, I've got 2 heavyweights ahead of him.
Man, Aspinall's so far down there too.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, my thought process on this was a combination of resume and the moving of divisions. There's just some guys that I think, have skill sets that are comparable there. If you tell me I'm moving Tom up, I'm okay there, and some other guys down, but it's kind of just how it shook out. But
Can
I
just
Pizza.
make a comment about the realization that I had while I was making making this ranking, and that's probably the best thing that came over for me was you did the thing about Dana and Francis. You did that great breakdown on Monday, Ariel, about the saga that's going on between them, and the one thing that I was thinking when I was watching all this stuff over the weekend was like, it's amazing how much Dana White cares about this. As much as he kind of says like, oh, I sleep well at night. I'm sure he does. The guy's, loaded. He's doing great things with the UFC. But I was surprised how much it obviously annoys him when he has that sheet ready at the Power Slap press conference, right, to reel off how Power Slap is better than PFL. But as I'm making them rankings, and I'm like, geez, my heavyweights are way too high up here for most people, I'd imagine. But I was like, this might be the golden era of heavyweight MMA, and we're not going to get to see any of these guys fight each other. That's a crying shame. And if there's anything that the UFC, we should be annoyed with the UFC about here, is the fact that they could have made Francis v. Jones and they didn't, and they could make Jones v. Aspinall and they haven't. And that is an indictment on them in terms of heavyweight MMA, because I think if these guys were all fighting each other, this would be the greatest era of all time.
Wow.
I think
that was less passionate as Darren, but it was just as.
Come on, Zany, you fucking prick! You know, like, give it a bit.
I think we will see some of them fight. Not Francis versus UFC champion, unfortunately, but I do think we will see John versus Tom, maybe.
Yeah, even speaking to the Aspinall camp very recently, they're all very confident all of a sudden that that's going to happen. So fingers crossed we do get that.
Heavyweight's hard. Heavyweight's hard. They're the hardest ones to rank in this pound for pound thing.
Can I say this? And you just said it, and I've been guilty of this as well. I was talking to some people very close to Stipe, and maybe I was just drinking the Kool-Aid. Man, I do feel like there's been a lot of slander thrown his way, and I've said it myself, like, Tom should be fighting. He's the real heavyweight champ. Stipe Miocic can easily screw all of this up. He can easily screw, like, this is not a bum. This isn't a gimmick fight. He's been out for a while. He's taking this very seriously. I don't know, everything I heard about who he's working with, who he's sparring with, it would be such an MMA type of story, right? Where we've been talking this whole year about Francis and John, and then John and Aspinall's there, and he takes the heat away. If Stipe waltzes in there and screws it all up, and then it would be the most Stipe move ever to screw it all up and retire, right? Remember, this is the guy who, when Dana White tried to put the belt around his waist in Boston, he took the belt and gave it to his head coach and said, I'm going to have someone who respects me and who I respect put it around my waist. What a move. What a parting shot it would be. And let's be very clear. Stipe is getting the opportunity. They've been very respectful, very complimentary. They're paying him well, all these things and more. But what a freaking parting shot by the most decorated heavyweight champion of all time if he wins this fight and then just says, peace, I'm out of here. Like, I do think we need to start talking about that being a possibility. Ultimately, you know, am I going out on a limb like I did with Khamzat and Rob? No, I've retired from that, at least for now, at least for this week. But I don't think it's as crazy a thought. Like, I don't even know what the odds are at the moment. I'm assuming John Jones is the favorite.
Yeah,
I'm gonna guess
minus 700.
Wow,
Stipe plus 500.
Man, this is Stipe Miocic. It's like he's not a bum.
Yeah, but this is also John Jones. You can do it's Stipe, but on the other side of it, this is John Jones.
This is John Jones, who has fought once since 2020.
Oh, what's Stipe done?
Yeah, when was the last time Stipe fought?
2022.
How'd that go?
I'm just saying, it's not like one guy's been fighting and one guy hasn't. Like, you're talking about John Jones. By the way, his last 3 fights were very, very close. He's still getting involved in things. I'm not saying. Here's what I am saying. I don't think he just steamrolls through him like he steamrolled Ciryl Gane. Is that a fair take?
Yeah, I can agree with that, and I think there is a possibility that Stipe is able to pull off, like, I guess what the MMA community is thinking is the unthinkable. I mean, he's 42 years old, but it is heavyweight. I mean, if you were going to do it at any division, this would be the one to do it. He is obviously one of, if not the greatest heavyweights of all time. So, like, yeah, you are right. It would be the most MMA thing of all time for Stipe Miocic to derail everything and then just walk off into the sunset and leave all this chaos in his dust.
What would be so incredible about that is Francis walked away with 1 belt. Then the second belt that they crafted, Stipe is walking away with that one at some point. And then we've got the Tom Aspinall belt kind of just sitting there as the third in the actual order.
It will be more splintered. It will be the only time in recent UFC history that the boxing heavyweight titles are actually more unified than the UFC/MMA heavyweight titles, right?
Because this is the prime example of it being against everything that was Dana White's mission statement early on with the UFC. Like, this is the most clear example of that, what's happening at heavyweight. I do agree with you that I think people are almost looking at Stipe Miocic like the Mike Tyson to John Jones's Jake Paul. You know, like, well, this guy, you know, where's his health at? Because he had that limp when he was last seen at a UFC event. But honestly, it would, based on how the narrative is being formed, it would go down as, like, despite Stipe's stellar career and being one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, I think it would go down as one of the biggest upsets ever, because everyone has their head so far in what happens after this as opposed to what actually happens in Madison Square Garden.
When you say upset, I don't know if I can say Stipe winning at heavyweight is an upset in any era. I think maybe what you mean is people will be upset.
No, this would be an
No,
upset.
I think he means an
John
upset.
Jones, Stipe Miocic minus
I don't think-
700 getting beat. That's an upset.
I don't think.
You understand how odds work, right, Ariel?
No, I don't think.
that is an upset.
I don't think those are fair odds. I think that's very disrespectful.
I'm sympathetic to what.
Jesus, what was this chat? When did this chat happen? You've changed it.
I know. You can 6x your money on Stipe Miocic right now.
Were you talking to his ma? What happened? Fucking hell.
I'm sympathetic to the idea that like Stipe deserves respect. I think that's accurate. But man, like last win was August 15, 2020. Like.
Yeah, his
I
last
need
fight
to
was
see
also
something.
2021. It was March 2021.
I can hear everything. I need to see something before I'm willing to believe that.
By the way, in that time frame, John Jones has one win.
And it was over Cyril Gahn.
Yeah, I mean,
What a
and by
win,
the way,
though.
August
Never
2020.
lost before
August
that
2020. Who was that win against? Tell us who that win was against.
Daniel Cormier.
Yeah. One of the greatest ever.
In
Ever.
2020.
Ever. Yeah, but
All right, let's lock it in. H down number 2. We're already back. The new era of the H
Let me
down.
tell you something right now.
Plus 500.
Stipe Miocic will win decisively.
No path to victory for John Jones.
No path to no.
Path to victory for John Jones.
I get where you're coming from. Because again, like John Jones had one fight at heavyweight. And it seemed like a matchup that was kind of like beneficial to him. It was a favorable style matchup.
And we saw him for 60 seconds.
And we saw him for no time at all. And so we don't know much about John Jones at heavyweight. But I will take the stuff I don't know about John Jones over the stuff I don't know for what Stipe Miocic is doing for the last X years. Like
I love the chaos theory of Stipe Miocic winning this fight because it does feel like no one's giving him a chance. You're kind of selling me on just blindly backing Stipe.
By the way,
like,
I'm black.
Yeah, you guys keep making all these plans, but Stipe's got something else up his sleeve.
It's a coin flip fight. It's a 50-50 fight, if you ask me.
Wow.
I really do believe that.
I don't know.
I really.
Who was this?
This chat must have.
I really do
What did
believe.
he say?
Listen, I
We
did my due
need to know
diligence.
what he said.
I said, listen, I need to know what's going on here, and all the things I heard were very interesting, and I just thought, this guy's not here to take part. Like, he's not here to just be a part of the heavyweight sweepstakes and be like, oh yeah, here, John, you can fight me. Let's be honest. They thought that this was a winnable matchup. And you know what really like got me going on this? Going through that footage of the UFC 2020 and just seeing prime Stipe and seeing how freaking mad he was going into that fight. It was a different, the guy who fought Francis was a little bit different and obviously older. It was a few years later and it was pandemic and it was Apex. I think we see motivated Stipe. I think we see superhero Stipe. I think we see fireman, first responder Stipe, who wants to go out as the most decorated heavyweight champion of all time. I mean, the disrespect is palpable.
I'm all for that narrative. I think it's a good one. I think we will also see motivated John Jones, who's been hearing about Tom Aspinall for quite a bit and probably wants to remind people who the F he is as the GOAT of MMA.
It's for sure.
Can we find out all this information? It looks like he's got an OnlyFans. Can I go on his OnlyFans and find out?
Stipe, what's he showing off there? What's he doing
Looks like
there?
some training stuff.
Lincoln
Stipe Miocic, 42-year-old Stipe Miocic dropping link in bios.
Woo.
More on OnlyFans.
Nice.
I might have to sign up.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on the OnlyFans, but God bless him for that. I will just say you're 100% right. I agree with you, Rick. This is not supposed to come off as any type of slander, but I'm just saying. I mean, one guy was probably in the bunker today, hitting tires with sledgehammers. The other guy was on a Zoom call about 90 days. I'm just saying.
Isn't that when we get John Jones at his best? If we're
I mean, the OSP fight wasn't his best.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess you're right. Maybe actually him at his worst.
Are you and Dane on the same hymn sheet all of a sudden here, Ariel? That's what it feels like to me.
Well, it's
Is
funny.
this in fact the best fight you can make a heavyweight right now? Is it John Jones and Stipe Miocic?
By the way, it's funny you say that. And to celebrate this moment,
What do we have?
what I'm about to do right now, I just want to because this is such a big moment. I've just gifted, I think, 20 people in the chat membership. So congratulations to all of you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah. No, you're 100% right, Pizza. You know why? Because Dana and I are on the same page much more than you would think, because he actually said this recently about the pound-for-pound rankings.
Dana, one more question about John Jones. In your pound-for-pound list, he's number 1. So, but on the paper, it's Islam Makhachev number 1. What should Islam do or achieve to overcome John Jones in your pound-for-pound list?
Yeah, I understand. What should he do? Just keep doing what he's doing. You just keep doing what you're doing. He hasn't done it as long as John Jones has, and he hasn't done it as consistently as Alex Pereira has. I mean, really, when you talk about now, if you guys argued with me and said, we think you're wrong, we think Alex Pereira is number 1 and Jones is number 2, I could probably live with that.
Hey.
And I know it sounds like I'm shitting on him, but I don't. I love Islam. He's a great kid. He's a hard worker. He fights everybody. I'm just being honest.
Dana and I agree.
I think we've lost the plot here. If I'm being, I think pound for pound is silly. Let me just say that. I'm voting on this. I think pound for pound is silly as a concept. But I have to be convinced that there's an answer other than Islam Makhachev. I can't be convinced that there is somebody. Dustin, Volk, Charles. Who's got four wins better than that recently?
Oh, Dana's definition of pound for pound is completely out of whack. I mean,
but I'm saying our definition, right? You guys are saying it's Alex. Dustin, Volk, Charles. Can you top that? If somebody can make a case for somebody doing better than that, I'm all ears.
Nah, people poke holes. Volk was a 45.
Does he do the bow and arrow thing?
So why are we giving Taporia?
Does he do the bow and arrow thing?
So why are we giving Taporia all this love for beating Volk then?
I mean, same weight class, 4 months as opposed to a week.
It's Islam's fault that Volk came up to.
It's not Islam's fault. I have Islam too. I just have Alex to me. Alex to me. No, Alex to me jumps over because he's won belts in 2 different weight classes.
You also talk about poking holes, like the not really fighting someone that goes to grapple him is a hole for Alex Pereira.
Nah, listen. The only time that could be brought up is Khalil over Magomed. Other than that, he has fought the top guy. It just so happens the top guy is a good matchup for him. I don't think they have protected him in that regard in any way, shape, or form. Do you think so?
I agree with that.
I don't think they protected him, but we still haven't seen a fight where someone truly tries to depend on the grappling against.
Sure, and hopefully we see it next. The only time that they have clearly given him a style that is a little bit more favorable is just a couple of weeks ago. I don't think they've done that.
As a thought experiment, is there a 170-pound fighter on this planet right now that you would pick over Islam Makhachev?
Yes.
Who?
Remember the name.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
No, I'm actually happy that you guys
probably Shavkat Rakhmonov.
That we made it clear that you guys made those picks because he was about to do a podcast in front of his loyal 100 viewers and blame me for how low he was on the rankings. I had nothing to do with it. Okay.
Where did Bilal net out?
I come in peace.
I forget. Where was he on the final?
I just noticed all of you had him very low.
I had him. Wait, really?
Pretty low.
No, you had him.
It was very low. We had him in the top 10 of our pound
I'm
for
just
pound
saying
ranking.
that. Listen, with
like
Bilal,
700.
with Bilal,
fight
you think
roster.
that's good enough? You think that's good enough?
8 sounds good.
Bilal
to
had
me.
him at 8.
How dare you have him below John Jones? How dare you have him below John Jones?
Okay, but truly, like, I haven't seen the evidence that has anybody above Islam in my
That's fine.
I just haven't seen it.
Listen, it's tomato. Let's take a look at the women's rankings, shall we? Valentina Shevchenko number 1 overall, Zhang Weili number 2, Chris Cyborg number 3, Kayla Harrison number 4, Alexa Grasso number 5, Juliana Pena, friend of the program, number 6, Manon Fiorot number 7, Larissa Pacheco number 8, Tatiana Suarez number 9, and Seika Izawa number 10. Now, let me just take a quick look here. I just want to see how the boys in the back voted for Juliana. Juliana 4 for GC over the likes of Kayla Harrison and Alexa.
Favoritism.
Yeah.
I ride with my people.
Let's see, Rick, how he got.
Tom Aspinall, obviously not one of your people anymore, GC.
Juliana 6 for Rick.
Yeah,
Pacheco and Harrison under the contender over champ. Explain yourself, Rick.
The lights are getting bright in here.
Let's just let me get the time code here.
It's hot. It's hot under these lights.
Wow.
It was cold in the studio before. Now it's getting hot. I don't know what I was thinking when I said that.
You actually disagree
I
now.
might have to retract that.
Wow. This is a rare moment of Rick saying he was wrong.
I might have to just say my bad on that one.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, come back to me. Come back to me at another point. I gotta think this through. I gotta.
Well,
figure out
your
what I was
top
thinking.
10, just for the
let's do it.
record, Valentina, Cyborg, Zhang Wei Li, Kayla Harrison, Larissa Pacheco, Juliana Pena. Of course, Pena and Pacheco just fought, one lost. No NBD. Tatiana Suarez, Mano Fioro, Alexa Grasso, Virna Jandiroba. I think it's all out of whack, if I'm being honest.
Now, again, you're now going like it's the wins and the losses. Like, what is your criteria? I'm not quite sure.
What have you done for me? It's what have you done for me plus fictitious. If everyone was the same weight, plus strength of schedule equals pound for pound. That's the formula.
So Larissa is lower than who? Like you seem to take issue with Larissa on mine. Being
Larissa's a tricky one because she does have the win
two.
over Kayla, who
Right.
you rate highly, number 4.
Yeah.
She's coming off a loss, but against an all-time great. So
Right.
how much can you
Against
dock her for
my
that?
number 2 pound for pound.
Okay, but then we have Alexa Grasso down low despite coming off a loss to the number 1 pound for pound, who she also has a win over.
She got dominated though.
I mean, these rankings are
suspect.
to keep up with all of our rankings.
Yeah.
So I'm not siding with you, Ariel, though, because you can't be casting these stones when you chickened out on making the rankings.
Oh, chickened out is an interesting.
You were invited to make the rankings.
So
you did
busy.
not.
I was so
Same
jealous
with
when I saw
Frankie
that
over there.
email.
Frankie was also invited.
Frank has no excuse.
Everyone stop chatting shit.
Here's the thing.
I was so jealous.
Executive.
Everyone apart from Ariel and Frank, please send in your rankings.
Well,
that was
executive.
shot to the heart.
It's just got so many meetings and so many decisions and so many things.
Rick's
to
got
do.
a lot of meetings.
I couldn't squeeze it in. I tried to. Ask Chuck. I really did try to in earnest, but maybe.
What was y'all's process for making these rankings? It took me all of like 90 seconds.
You can. I mean, people. That's.
I'm still not sure what pound for pound means.
I will say
neither do any of us. Based on this conversation,
Yeah,
none of us
nobody
actually
does.
have one concrete fucking understanding.
Because
of
there
what
is
this
none.
means.
That's like big sports debate came up with the pound for pound ranking, so you could just endlessly debate it.
Like
it's just like MJ versus LeBron. You can never get to a conclusive end.
The ubiquitous.
I love
big
it.
Sport. I love that.
Big sport. Come on. The same people that created First Take created the pound for pound ranking.
Yeah, I call these barbershop debates.
Yeah,
I love the idea of people at a barbershop, at a bar, at a cafe, just being like, "Nah, you're crazy. You're crazy." I love that shit. That's what makes me
It's a debate that literally you cannot come to a concrete answer on.
Although if Alex Pereira fights John Jones, which could happen, I mean,
But
that,
again,
that can
that's
answer
not
them two where they fall.
Yeah, that's
doesn't answer if we feel like it's
in my opinion, there's only been one time in UFC history where we got number 1 versus number 2 pound for pound fighting each other, and that was DC versus John Jones.
You said about
Islam and Volk, I think.
They claim to say that. Yeah, at the time, I don't know. I felt
You
like
said it. You
had Volk 1.
No, but
and Islam 2.
I had Volk after the fight 1. I put him.
Who would have
I
been
remember
the
that
one
Jesus Christ,
in there?
mate.
No, you know what? I take back. It's been what bothered me about that fight was that they said this was the first time, and I felt like they were ignoring.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because I think those guys were definitely 1 and 2 at that time.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
But before that, yeah, John.
But it wasn't the first time.
No.
In women's MMA, has it happened?
Amanda and Cyborg could be an argument.
Yeah, that's a good point. Amanda, I mean, she blew right by her. I mean, if
Valentina Nunes?
Zhang Wei Li fights Valentina,
I have Cyborg ahead, but I could see an argument for those two.
let's take a quick gander.
I think that would definitely be the UFC pound
Yeah.
for pound rankings 1 and 2, though.
I think most won't have Cyborg ahead of Zhang or Valentina. I did, but I think there's a very reasonable case for those to be 1 and 2.
You know, for someone who says he didn't spend a lot of time on these, and despite your slander, GC, I thought yours were quite good. Zhang Wei Li 1.
No ball, man.
Valentina 2, Cyborg 3, Pena 4, Harrison 5, Grasso 6, Mano 7, Pacheco 8, Tatiana 9, Blanchfield 10. I don't hate
Where's
that.
my love for Verna, though? That's what I'm wondering.
I know you do love Verna.
Where's everybody else with the Verna hive? I'm all in on that.
Okay, well, speaking of which, your rankings. Actually, we read yours already, right? Yeah, we did
But
read
just
yours.
let's make special note that Verna was.
Well,
not there,
let's
'cause
see
I
if
think
Pizzi showed love to Verna. Let's see. Zhang Wei Li 1.
Absolutely not.
Valentina 2. I was trying to build up to it, Pizzi. Cyborg 3. Harrison 4. Grasso 5. Pena 6. Pennington 7. Still in there. I think you're the only
Very
one.
close fight with Penna. We all seem to be forgetting, yeah?
Yeah.
I remember
minus
one of
8.
our panel
I had a
quite a
50-45.
big comment
That was
about
his
it initially.
Easiest fight to score of the year.
Pacheco 9. Suarez 10. You have Pennington over Suarez, huh?
That's right.
There is no method to any of this.
But can I say something? I feel
Go
like
ahead.
for whatever reason, because the gap in women's MMA is literally 15 to 35, right? For all intents and purposes, there's the odd 45 there, but it's really it feels a lot more like the women's MMA rankings feel almost a lot more concrete. Do you know what I mean? Like in men's MMA, we're going from 265 to 125.
Yes, a lot of these fights can happen and have happened
Exactly.
in certain scenarios.
And
right?
you could see a scenario like Tatiana. I could see Tatiana fighting at 25, at 15, even at 35. Same with Valentina. Same with the likes of Cyborg at 45.
I was going to say Cyborg seems to be a little bit on the outside of that, and so although Pacheco and Cyborg, right, but so does like somebody like Azawa who made the list.
Yeah.
Outside. So,
Could you imagine a woman coming along who is able to go between the 3 weight classes and somehow become champ of all 3?
That would be sick.
Is Valentina not kind of that one? I feel like.
Well, she tried. I mean, she
No,
had
but
135. She
I'm
had
talking about
135.
actually getting the belt at all
At
3
the
of them.
exact same time.
I mean,
oh wow, yeah. Now we're talking triple champ.
Cyborg?
That's how you create a
I mean,
super duper uber star.
But Valentina had some fights with Amanda. Like I think it could have been possible for her, and still could. Honestly, like I don't know. Val at 35 doesn't feel impossible for me.
Well, just like this show with our rankings, working through the kinks. I think this was very healthy. I think this was very valuable.
They were great rankings.
Yeah, I
the
think
most respected pound for pound ranking.
I agree. I agree. In the end, you
Well
have
done
to
to
respect.
everyone who took part in it.
Yeah.
No comment for anyone.
What the
who wasn't
fuck is
involved.
that?
Yeah, shame on you. Shame on you, Frank. Shame on you. Did want to bring this up, a bit of breaking news that happened this morning. Our friends at World Wrestling Entertainment announced that they have launched a new indie wrestling development program. It's called WWE ID, which stands for Independent Development, to identify, support, and develop independent wrestling schools and wrestling talent. Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, Cody Rhodes's Nightmare Factory, and Seth Rollins's Black and Brave Academy among the first schools to receive official WWE ID designation. This was the announcement. They announced today the launch of a first-of-its-kind developmental program designed to provide up-and-coming independent wrestlers a pathway to a potential career in WWE. The program will be called WWE ID, short for WWE Independent Development. Here's the quote. WWE ID is the latest in our efforts to identify and support the journey of up-and-coming wrestlers, in turn raising the profile of and strengthening the independent wrestling ecosystem. This from Paul Levesque, Chief Content Officer. Under the program, WWE will provide prominent independent wrestling schools with the WWE official ID designation, with the goal of providing new trainees and existing talent at these select institutions with enhanced developmental opportunities. These are the schools: Booker T's Reality of Wrestling in Houston, Cody Rhodes's Nightmare Factory in Atlanta, Seth Rollins's Black and Brave Academy in Davenport, Iowa, Elite Pro Wrestling Training Center in Concord, New Hampshire, and Knox Pro Academy in Los Angeles are the first WWE independent wrestling schools to earn the official designation. I think this is pretty damn cool. I think this is cool. Obviously, a lot of these guys are affiliated with WWE, the owners of said gyms, but it creates a pipeline. And look, in an era where WWE is trying to get people from the jump because of NXT and beat out the other competition, get them in as quickly as possible and have this pipeline with the schools. It would be akin to Strikeforce back in the day, having the pipeline to AKA, because Crazy Bob Cook was a coach there and a matchmaker at Strikeforce. And so you get Kane early, you get Luke Rockhold, you get Daniel Cormier, you get Mike Swick for a moment if he did. You certainly get the likes of Josh Thompson. You know what I'm saying. And so this is interesting.
So I'm a layman, so you have to help
Yeah.
come along here, because my understanding, and correct any of this, because I'm going by like being a layman on a lot of this stuff.
Sure.
I understood that they had these independent promotions, but I also thought that like WWE was kind of like aligned with them, right? Like when Brock Lesnar was one in like Minnesota or something, like he was at
OVW,
a known one, right? And then
Ohio Valley Wrestling.
So what is happening that is different?
So these aren't promotions; these are schools.
Okay.
So these aren't promotions. This isn't them saying like Florida Championship Wrestling, you're now our developmental league. Now we're going a step further and we're getting to the schools. Like we're getting to you before, the school meaning the gym, where Seth is developing up and coming talent. Where Cody's gym is world renowned at this point. Booker T's as well.
Are they providing them funds too? Are they helping them?
Yeah, I mean this is just through the wire here, so I haven't dug deep, but that would be super interesting as well, right?
Yeah, well,
they're
really nurturing the talent the same way like Dana White talks about putting a PI everywhere. You're actually like investing in the infrastructure.
And then how about this? WWE will also identify top independent wrestling prospects with an official WWE ID prospect designation and support their developmental journey by providing financial opportunity and assisting with training, mentorship, and development, including access to world-class facilities, best-in-class ring training, athletic trainers, and more. WWE ID will give fans the opportunity to follow the paths of these standout prospects on the independent wrestling scene through curated behind-the-scenes content, as well as highlights and matches showcased across WWE's social platforms. So they can pick a person and say, oh, this guy who's fighting on the indies or wrestling on the indies in Houston is someone that we have pinpointed. We're giving him this badge, and you can then follow his journey before he even gets to NXT.
Yeah, so now it's starting there, then to NXT, then to the main roster. Yeah, that's fascinating.
And you're getting these people before they have the ability to then go to an AEW.
I also like, that's true. And I also like how it could be like a kind of like a storyline thing. Cause like, what if they're the golden child down at their promotion or, wherever they're wrestling, and then everybody can kind of team up on them or they play it the other way. I don't know. That's
like that dude who gave, who shot a shot and Dana gave him the opportunity. And now you see him popping up everywhere. He's sitting in the front row. This is going to be his gimmick. I don't know if they just like lucked into it, but now they've got something with this guy where everyone is going to want to watch his next fight. If it's
he got to deliver though.
Yeah, he's got to deliver for sure. But and obviously this isn't pro wrestling, so you can't script it. But everyone's going to be interested in whenever that young man fights. Sergey Pavlovich versus Jairzinho Rosenstrike has been added to the return to Saudi Arabia. That is on February 1st, Riyadh season card. I don't think it is the main event, but it is a heavyweight fight, which probably doesn't go the full 15. And what about yesterday? Can I just ask you guys, Rick, especially you as a proud New Yorker, I would say yesterday was a pretty dark day. In what has been a great time for New York sports, a pretty dark day in New York sports. And I'm not even talking about your Cavs. Somehow, Mr. New York Rick is a Cavs fan over a Knicks fan. Nevertheless, I'm not even talking about the Giants losing once again in embarrassing fashion on Monday Night Football. I'm not even really talking about the Yankees losing and going down 3-0 to the Dodgers in the World Series. I'm talking about...
Jordan just fainted, by the way.
I'm sorry, Jordan. I didn't mean to bring it up. I'm just talking about the responding to Ice Cube and his performance with that Fat Joe performance.
He's already dead.
It was pretty bad. I wish we could play it.
Oh, let's not play it.
It was pretty bad. I mean, the production, the fact that the music was playing and he was talking over it and yelling, like the Ice Cube thing was Emmy worthy. The way it was shot, the sun, the palm trees, from the outfield to home plate. It's Dodgers baseball. It was a good day. And then they come back with Fat Joe. He swears in the first 3 seconds. The first song ends abruptly. He's just yelling random shit out while the music is playing. That was awful. No, I mean, that was a bad moment in New York sports history, I thought. That was a 10-8 round.
If they won, I feel like everybody would have been like iconic. Everybody would have been like, that was the moment New York came together. Unfortunately, they didn't get it done. I'm not going to be too harsh. Maybe
I thought it was pretty
else
bad.
Is harsher than me.
I thought it was pretty bad.
I thought it was bad, but I wasn't like, this is the low point for New York. But the losing all in this couple days span is not great for New York sports.
It's tough.
I mean, Jordan would speak better to this than me.
Yeah, diehard Yankee fan. Still,
although here's the problem: he's not the traditional Yankees, Giants, Rangers. He's Islanders.
Who the fuck is we?
He's Islanders, Yankees, and Jets. It's a very odd combination. But we hashed it out this morning. I figured out the whole kind of way that he got there. Having a tough sports week.
I will say, still proudly rocking his Yankees cap, and I respect that. It ain't over till it's over, as the great Yogi Berra once said.
He's playing the music on the Titanic. That's okay.
Something happened today that was kind of funny, though. So we were sitting down having lunch, and this woman that we've never talked to before comes up and just starts talking shit about him wearing the Yankees hat.
Wow.
Not and by the way, I'm such and such, glad to have this interaction. She just walks off.
Just straight up
There was a chance that she could have been a Yankees fan as well.
I believe the line was, Yankees, not good, huh?
No, she said, what was that Giancarlo play last night? That was embarrassing.
Damn, just straight up. No hello, how are you?
Hey, where'd you get that hat?
No, she said it as she was walking by, and then by the time she was finishing, she was already around the corner. I think there's a chance she was a Yankees fan, and she was kind of like, man, we're both miserable together.
I didn't read it as that.
I didn't read it that way either, but I think he's right that it is
Then
possible.
you stay and you commiserate, and you're like, oh, yeah, but I'm still a diehard. She just walked away.
Yeah.
Well, no, she might have had to go to a meeting or something.
The topic.
Oh, you're late to this meeting. Yeah, I had to
What
talk shit.
do we think she was? Do we think she was a Dodgers fan?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. You saw that
she doing
strut
here?
she had? It was definitely a Dodgers.
She was feeling good about
She
herself.
was a Dodgers fan.
And
if she's a Mets fan, then you could just be like, bro, you got bounced last round.
It was so quick I couldn't even pick her out of a lineup. I'm not going to lie.
Wow. Yeah, I don't love that.
Oh, wait, she's standing at the...
Don't love that. Hopefully they rebound. And,
They won't.
No, they won't. All right.
No, they're getting swept tonight for sure.
No, they won't.
So, yeah, after that
it's
Fat Joe
tonight, huh?
performance, as soon as he threw that microphone down, I texted one of
that
my
was
friends
bad.
who's a diehard Yankees fan, and I was like, Yanks are getting swept, bro.
You know what? The good thing about a situation like this, it's baseball, and it happens very quickly, right? Boom, boom. You don't have to wait for 3 days for the next game. You're done, and the nightmare can be over. Interesting nugget from our pal Nolan King of MMA Junkie. The new unified rules of mixed martial arts will, in fact, be in effect this Saturday at UFC Edmonton. That is according to the Edmonton Combative Sports Commission and their executive director, Forrest Gavins. That means 12-6 elbows are legal, and there's a new grounded opponent definition. We've talked about this courtesy of Andy Foster and the work that he has done to rectify these archaic rules. And so I think it's important to remember this as you're watching the fights, because it feels like these things tend to pop up quite often. And good on Edmonton for being a little bit ahead of the curve. I like it. Is it ahead of the curve or ahead of the curb?
Curb. Curb.
Yeah.
Curb.
Curb.
Is it? What is it? What was that?
No,
Ahead
I
of the
was
curve.
always saying curve. I was saying curve my whole life.
Curb.
Last thing before we go, Pete, 60 seconds on the clock. Please do your best to bring some honor to your sad sack football club, Manchester United. I mean, please.
I mean, there's not a lot on it left. I don't really feel like I should be the man putting this spot.
I mean, you're the honorary United supporter.
A lot of United slander.
I mean,
the last few days.
I mean,
of course,
it's deserved at the moment. Like, we're Banter FC. Like, I actually enjoy. There's part of me that, like, they lose and I'm like, there we go. The fire's just getting bigger now. Yeah, new manager, same old bullshit, I'd imagine. But it feels like what the Knicks were before you had that good season last year.
Okay,
I think we talked about this before. We are just waiting for our Jalen Brunson to come along and save the fucking day, but we don't know who it is. We don't know where he is. We don't even know if he plays with the team. It's
if only you had a winger with explosive speed, with a joie de vivre, with a smile that could light up a room, hailing from Sweden, who can just actually make things happen. A maestro, if you will. If only you had someone like that.
We threw him away.
Yeah.
When you signed him, what did I say? We shouldn't have sold him. He's
Yeah.
very good. Turns out he is very good. But
of course, we're
your
talking
hopes
about
lie with
Anthony
Chris
Elanga.
Wood. Your hopes lie with Chris Wood, who will be sold in January. Mark my words.
Everyone's getting very mad. Anytime we talk about football around these parts, they get very mad. And so that is our cue. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We like to shoot on Wednesdays. And so up right now on the Substack page, ArielHelwani.substack.com is where you can submit your questions for tomorrow's On the Nose. We'll also take questions from our super chatters. So stay tuned for that. Do want to let you know that ArielHelwani.com, the new and improved ArielHelwani.com, yes, it is no longer a Chinese adult site. It is now actually the official home of all things merch. There it is, ArielHelwani.com, the official site for all things merch. Don't think I didn't catch that typo there. You wrote F. Oh, I'm all over it.
Everyone, stop chatting shit.
Well,
the Portuguese one.
The
Pantoja
oficial.
He's ahead of the curve.
Oficial.
It's for the Portuguese fans out there.
Thank God, no typos on our merch. You can get nice. I have my. I should be using the thermoses that we have.
Big Rick is.
Yeah. There it is. The boys in the back. There they are.
Still hasn't arrived in Ireland. Probably the next 2 years.
Yeah, international shipping takes a while.
What happened?
$79.99.
Connor,
I thought we were closing out.
Why do you look so short?
I dropped the seat down.
What'd you say, Pete?
This is why do you look so short?
Because I dropped the seat.
That's what happened yesterday. We're like, why does your mic sound like crap?
Oh, yeah.
Here, Ariel,
what do you just clock out early? You
were like,
out?
all right, that's our cue. We're out of here. Buy the merch.
Ariel,
I thought we were done for the day. I dropped the seat bags down.
Yes, Pete.
What about the you know what I mean? There was a few things I was looking at on that Chinese adult shop. Can you redirect me where they gone?
That was not just a Chinese adult shop. It was like it attacked your senses when you went to it. It was one of the most wild things I've ever seen. I kind of missed it a little bit. I kind of
find out Pizzi ran it. He was the one who was on it the whole time.
Pizzi, these decorations are pretty nice. When did you come into all this money?
They're all fleshlights.
20. Oh, Jesus.
What the fuck is that?
Fleshlight.
Tomorrow on the program, Mike Malott, who's competing this weekend, big fight for him. Cade Rutolo, who is returning to action next weekend in his second pro MMA bout. He, of course, is the jiu-jitsu phenom fighting for one championship. And old friend Michael Venom Page, speaking of jiu-jitsu, he competes this weekend as well in Polaris against the legend Carlos Condit, the natural-born killer for Polaris, and somewhat of a surprise to a lot of people because he isn't known for his grappling. He will be joining us as well, in addition to On the Nose and all of the other fun things that we can discuss on the program. I have to get to my Tamagotchi. Lord knows how that poor thing is feeling. Yeah, I mean,
he's already dead.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
I mean, that's how those things work, man.
Hopefully
just restart it and try to get it back to where it was.
No, we're not. We don't believe in that.
Nah, you don't get to restart in life.
Yeah,
you don't get to restart the Tamagotchi. When it's dead, it's dead.
Couldn't agree more. Claire's just about to, she's about to learn.
Happy birthday.
A valuable lesson.
Gotta learn life and death.
Yes. Oh, my God. Thank you very much to all of you. You can hit my music, Frank. Yeah. I tell you, this Edmonton card, not bad. It's not bad. Sometimes, you know what I was just thinking of? No, let's not get crazy. I was just looking at uncrowned.com and all the great things we have up on the page right now. By the way, if you haven't subbed to the YouTube channel yet, we're trying to get to 250 by, when was it? Christmas?
Yeah, Christmas. Boxing Day, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
St. Stephen's Day, it's actually called.
Yeah. So hit the sub. Give us a thumbs up in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from. I like the roll call. People checking in from all over, pulling up, as they say, tapping in, as the cool kids say. Hit the little bell thing, thumbs up. Follow on Spotify and Apple. But what about uncrowned.com? I mean, all the stuff that we have up here.
I have it as my homepage, so when I open my browser, it's the first thing I see.
How do you do that? I would love to do that.
You do it in the settings. You set homepage to uncrowned.com. Are you being serious?
Frank, why don't you just do it for him?
I will ask you.
Put a title bar up?
I am, we like to joke about me getting older, and the number one question I've gotten about doing shows like this is like, when do you go to the bathroom? And I've never had an issue with it. We're now 2 shows in a row where at approximately like 1:02 p.m. I have had to go to the bathroom since then.
You're getting older, man.
Is this a problem?
Every day from this point forward.
I need to stop drinking so much water before the show. We'll work on that. Working through the kinks.
Chair with a toilet.
Okay, fair enough. Yep.
Just get your catheter. We'll work on it.
Perfect. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to all the back on Wednesday, same time. Peace around here.
He's already dead.